excited for another episode of the Ganza. Wanted to announce we got more fans across the world. Super excited about this. Shout out to the new listeners in France. We got 10 new subscribers on the audio platform listening out of France. The French. The French are listening. Oh, we welcome you. Oh, that's my really, really cheesy, shitty, really bad French accent. We got more subscribers in Germany. We got a subscriber in Jamaica for the first time. First sub in Jamaica. We also got one in Canada again. So really appreciate it for all your guys' support. I just can't say thank you enough. Really, really blown away every time I see a new sub in another part of the world. Really fucking cool. Glad to have you guys with us. A lot of fun here. Let me just get straight to the promos, though, because we got a lot to talk about today. This episode of the podcast is sponsored by Shooter Lube, America's best gun care system. Two-stage cleaning system with the military-grade cleaning solvent. The new technology has you cleaning your gun better than ever. The new solvent is designed to penetrate deep into the metal, cleaning carbon buildup in less time than other leading solvents. Shooter Lube military-grade weapons cleaning solvent is simply the best. It's odorless. There's no water, fully evaporates, leaves no residue, no hazardous ingredients per the APA, has a high flash point, non-corrosive, does not freeze, and it's non-flammable. Second stage is the extreme weapons oil. Now listen, guys, standard lubricants and CLP, that shit's outdated and a thing of the past. Okay, with the new weapons oil, this shit's different. With the new cutting-edge technology, we're creating a new level of gun lubrication and protection. Unlike many other gun oils that just sit there on the surface, the extreme weapons oil penetrates deep into the pores of the metal. It evaporates with heavy use. Oh shit, I skipped a sentence. Jesus Christ. It's a little early for me today, boys. Forms a bond on and in the metal. It does not wipe off, wear off, melt, or evaporate with heavy use. You can feel confident using your weapon to its fullest potential, knowing that it is fully protected from wear and corrosion. It's biodegradable, non-flammable, non-toxic, 100% synthetic, low odor, non-staining, rust and corrosion protection, and it reduces wear and friction. Now, this is a weapons-grade cleaning kit. This is not sex stuff. Do not stick it in or around any of your holes. But with that being said, I do want to let you guys know they offer free shipping on all orders over $35 within the United States, 100% money-back guarantee, and they do offer online support. So if you guys are ever confused, if you're ever frustrated, no worries, reach out. They love to help. So join the revolution by going to shooterlube.com and save 10% at checkout by using promo code SINGER. This episode of the podcast is also sponsored by Werner Elements, your partner in growth. Listen, fuckboys, you need a website, okay? You got a side project, you got a full-time project, you got a side hustle, you got a full-time hustle. It doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter if you're a comedian, a musician, a podcaster, you're trying to start a legit business, maybe you're a photographer, doesn't matter. You need a website, social media, and the best way to represent yourself these days, a breakout from the crowd. We can help with that. Whether you're just starting a business, as an artist to showcase your talents, a comedian, or a podcaster to try to get the buzz going. We offer websites starting as low as $400, and we also offer weekly, monthly, or 6-month social media management packages. Let me just stop here and explain to something. There's a few ways you can try to do this, you guys. You can try to go to Squarespace or WordPress or any of these other sites and pay $100 and design that shit yourself. But guess what? You're not a fucking graphic designer. You're not a web designer. Would you hire somebody to record vocals for you if you're a vocalist? No, you hire an expert to do what you're trying to get done. This is the point. The only other way to get that done is you got to go spend like $10, $12, $15,000 on like a super high-end website. Most of us that are starting out with our side hustle, we don't have time for that shit. Plus, if you're only operating on social media, you don't own that data. You are the data. The reason it's free for you to get on social media is because you're the data, okay? You don't own any customer information. You can't track any customer information. You can't do shit on social media. This is why you need your own deal. This is where Werner Elements comes in. Because like I said, they start websites as low as $400, and they also offer weekly, monthly, and 6-month social media management packages. Let your business work for you. Mention promo code SINGER and get 10% off your first contract with us. They do offer free consultations, you guys, so when you reach out, you're not going to get charged anything, and he'll give you a consultation. He'll put you a package together. Make sure you drop the code SINGER, because once you decide you want to pull the trigger and sign up with this guy, you're going to get 10% off your first contract. Your one-stop shop for all your creative needs. Go to wernerelements.com. That's WERNER elements.com for more information. Werner Elements? Yes, we can do that. Also, you guys, if you haven't already, slap that thumbs up, smack the subscribe button, and punch that notification bell like it owes you money. That way, you know when we post new content, and it also helps the channel a ton. Not lying. If you're listening on just the audio side on any of the streaming platforms, please hit follow or subscribe, as well as leave a 5-star review on iTunes. It really does help the podcast grow. And if you're feeling extra frisky, you can subscribe to our Patreon by going to patreon.com/JaredSingerLive and joining for as low as $2.99 a month. You can also follow me on any of the social medias. It's all Jared Singer Live. All right, this episode of the podcast, my guest today is a very old friend, a colleague, a mutual bro from the music scene, from the music industry. We have a long history together, but I haven't seen him in a long time, so it's going to be a great time catching up. I hope you guys really enjoy it. His name is James Sanders. He's a phenomenal guitar player. I've known him for a long time. Just a bitchin' rad-ass dude. Ripping guitar player. Can't say enough cool things about him. I hope you guys enjoy listening. I'm really looking forward to this one. Let's welcome him to the show, my buddy, James Sanders. How you doing, buddy?
Good. How's it going?
Another day in paradise.
Hell yeah.
Minnetonka.
Yes.
This is like Jesus and Satan. This is, what are we doing? I just realized what this is called. This is blasphemy.
Oh, you've never seen it?
No.
Oh, my buddy Brian owns. I don't know their
really
partnership.
That's
Papa
amazing.
Barrel in Hudson.
Okay, I hate it slightly less. I'm kidding. It tastes great. It tastes great.
Oh, it's good beer.
I just hate Wisconsin a lot. And for the global listeners that don't know what we're talking about, Minnesota and Wisconsin, they're states within the United States that are right next to each other. We hate each other.
They're exactly the same states.
We're exactly the same in every way,
yeah,
except a slight accent difference.
Sure.
Because the Scotty accent's a little different than the Minnesotan accent.
Yep.
And
a little bit of both.
And their sports teams are vastly superior to ours. And they let us know and remind us on a regular basis. So we hate them.
Yeah.
I was joking about that with Ezra on the podcast when I had Ezra Tuola on. He used to play for both teams. He used to play for the Packers and the Vikings.
Gotcha.
And he's got this whole organization, hate is wrong. I'm like, dude, I mean, blah, 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 blah. But I'm sorry, man. I hate the Packers. And he's like, hey, man, hate is in any form is wrong. And I was like, yeah, that's true. Except for division rivals.
It depends like how far you get into Wisconsin, because like on the edge, they all follow Minnesota sports.
Do they really?
Well, especially hockey, because there isn't Wisconsin hockey
yet.
Right.
Yeah, until they get the Milwaukee Admirals and destroy us in that sport,
a lot of the border towns are Twins fans, because like you don't think of Milwaukee when
I suppose they're closer to the Twin Cities, yeah aren't they? Because they're what, 45 minutes and 90 minutes at most,
right,
for Western Wisconsin from the cities versus what, 4 hours from Milwaukee. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So for people that don't know, bud, instead of me trying to give a quick rundown, explain to people just quickly who you are and what you do, and then there is a bunch of cool music shit I want to get into with you. So
sure,
intro yourself.
James Sanders, Justin Sanders. No,
no, dude, come
Sanders on. Like Madonna.
It's Jesse name. Sanders. Quit messing with people.
Played in a few bands back in the day, aEstyria for a while, and then A Moment Without.
So it is officially called aEstyria.
Yeah. Not aEstyria.
Not aEstyria.
aEstyria.
Not aEstyria.
I think it was aEstyria.
aEstyria.
Yeah.
Like Anima.
Right.
Shout out to Jamal.
Filled in for a lot of bands, did a little studio work. Been a while, but...
And then you started your own deal, your own real deal. at least it seemed that way from the outside looking in. Like aEstyria seemed like it was like a real band. Like whether you started it or not, it was like a normal band. Everybody kind of had equal say.
Mm-hmm.
Those things tend to never actually work out.
Right. Oh, they got better when I left.
Did they?
Yeah.
Did they? What?
Oh, for sure. Like
you were the primary songwriter, correct?
No, not really. We all kind of. I don't think we ever really figured out what the hell we were doing. Dude, you got a fucking thing on backwards.
Keep going. I'll spin this around.
But I don't think we ever figured it out when we there was so many differences in just what we wanted to do with music. And like when I left to do more like the metal stuff, John left. When Mike came in and they changed their name to Daybreak Medusa, they were just like instantly a way better band.
Really?
Yeah.
I remember that name, but I don't remember
even with
any
some
of
of the
music.
same songs. They were just better than we were.
Same singer?
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
Why do you think that was?
Conflicting interests in just musical
So
styles.
like a lack of identity.
Yeah, kind of.
So it's
we didn't
not.
know what
So
the hell
what?
we were
Okay.
doing.
So it wasn't necessarily because you're a very talented guitar player. You're a very talented songwriter.
Mhm.
But I don't think you or your band were alone in that problem, because we were in. I talk about this a lot on the podcast. There was two types of musicians in the scene, right? There was the musicians who were like the I mean, honestly, I'm one of them now, but we're kind of like pretentious. We're kind of arrogant. It's more like I want to do my own thing.
I'm an artist.
Yeah, I'm an artist. Yeah. I want to like have integrity and do my own thing. I don't want to sound like anybody else.
Smell your own farts all day.
There's those type of musicians, and there's like degrees of the pretentiousness in that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'd like to think I'm at the lower end of that, because
I've probably been on multiple.
But then you had the other group of musicians, and I used to be in this group, where you're trying to make music that you think is going to be popular. So you follow a genre.
Sure.
So you and I are a very, very similar age. We came up in the scene in a very similar time, similar bands. I would say your bands, honestly, were always better than mine, but for some reason we always drew a little better than you guys did. Never made any sense to me, but I always thought you guys were like a better quality band. You sounded better, you were tighter, all that kind of shit. You wrote like catchier songs, all that kind of good stuff.
Dude, like the Solace stuff was awesome.
Okay, I'll take that.
Like I fell in love with Nick instantly.
I'll take
him
that.
Play guitar.
I'll take that. I'll take that one. But where I'm going with this though is like, you and I, our first few bands were more in the nu metal genre, and then we got swept up with the metalcore genre. So you had two distinct differences in the way you approach songwriting as a guitar player in those two different genres.
Yep.
So I can really sympathize with you, or at least empathize with you, when you say like we kind of just had conflicting interests, creative differences. A lot of times those are code words for personality problems, character flaws. Oh, we have creative differences. But in this case, it sounds like it might actually just be exactly that. Like you were starting to go the more riffage metal direction, and these guys wanted to stick to that like 93X style. Let's write songs that can be on the radio, and there's no
nothing
problems
wrong
with this
either way.
Exactly. It's just
I was writing stuff that I really liked,
and you flat out admitted
it was not aEstyria songs. It's like, well, I'm gonna go do this. Like, you guys are gonna be better.
I think Dying Euphoria kind of experienced the same thing after I left. No disrespect to Danny Z, but that was definitely a step backwards. But then when Joe came in, they took like 12 steps forward.
Absolutely.
They really found their direction and their sound and who they were, and I think they were also a better band once I left as well. So I feel you on that. I think it takes a really humble, healthy ego to admit that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of guys get jaded when that shit,
Well, I mean, I was like friends with the aEstyria guys.
Sure.
Way before we were a band.
Really?
Like played in other bands with John. Sort of. I actually like took Jamal's spot in a band once on bass when I was like 16.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. That was like my introduction into the scene.
Really?
Like I get to play a Quest for Mayhem before I could legally be in the building.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it was great.
I remember that. I remember being able to play shows at clubs that I couldn't go to.
Yeah, I was 16.
Yep.
Like, I don't even think I had a driver's license yet.
Yep. I think I was 16 or 17 when I played my first show.
Mm-hmm.
So you left all that, and then you created a moment without.
Yep.
So obviously you kind of already seeded this. You wanted to go more the metal direction. I think you did that. I think you captured that really well. It was interesting because I've never been able to figure out who that singer sounded like.
Oh, David?
Until today. It hit me finally today.
I might know who you're going to say.
The clean tone singing of All That Remains.
Yes, exactly.
That's exactly what he
also looks
sounds
a
like.
little bit like Phil.
Does he?
Yeah.
So how long did that band last?
It was like 2008 until 2012.
You guys were very well
4
respected.
years.
Very well respected. Like,
we had street cred. I don't know if we were good, but we at least had street cred.
I think you guys were pretty good. I don't know if I was so butthurt and brokenhearted, and I was in such a dark place. I don't know if I ever came out and seen a single live show.
I don't know.
during
I
that
was
time.
thinking about that when we set this up. It was like, I don't remember you being around then because it was like right after the Dying Euphoria stuff.
Yeah.
And then I remember we played so many shows with those guys, but it was like well after. You might have like filled in for yourself at a show. I don't. Maybe.
I don't know. I did do a reunion show with them a couple of years ago, but that would have been
that was the Doghouse, right? No,
I jumped on stage at the Doghouse.
Yeah, that was probably the last time I saw you,
which
too.
subsequently led to the reunion show. But no,
Gotcha.
No. I just remember you guys being really well respected, and you guys actually did some cool shit. Like you opened for some really cool bands.
Yeah.
Fucking, it kind of seemed like your time had finally come due. You know, you'd been working hard in the scene like we all had for basically what seemed like 10 years at this point. And
right.
You finally started to get some success. So how far did that band go? Like, what was really kind of the pinnacle of that band?
Like you were saying, we got to play a lot of really cool shows. Put out 2 EPs. I worked a lot with like Will. And
over at 1459 Will?
Yeah, but that was like part of the Zero Budget Records thing.
Right.
It was like, I think he had the studio, but he wasn't really doing stuff yet.
It was like
it
was the infancy of what he's doing now.
Yeah, right. So it was like a collective of bands. And we actually, when we put out our second EP, we kind of like stepped aside from that because we wanted to open ourselves up to like not to say like a real label, but something more than like a regional co-op is basically what Zero Budget was.
Which is like a great way to get your foot in the door and kind of learn the ropes of the industry and how things are done a little bit.
Well, it's great for networking too.
Yeah.
Just like getting shows in other towns because there was bands everywhere. If we wanted to play with Orwell, we'd go play with them. And then we'd set up a show and they would play with us.
Yep.
So you had all these little pods of bands, which you could do that on your own too. But it was all just like built into the cake. So.
Mm-hmm.
And then we put out that second EP shortly after that, got rid of a drummer, had to go through that whole, we didn't cancel any shows either. So we like had like 10 days to find a new drummer.
Do the fill-in thing.
Yeah.
Who jumped in and saved the day? Here, I'm going to move this a little bit.
Jeremy Ramessier.
I know that name.
Yeah, you know the name, and if you seen him, you'd be like, "Oh, it's that fucking guy." But he was like never in a band.
Really?
No, just a ridiculous drummer, but he like never played for anybody.
Is he one of those guys who doesn't want to be in a band? He just wants to play drums?
Yeah.
So basically,
for sure.
So if Minneapolis ever became a real town, he would be a legit jobber. He'd be the guy that he's a pro drummer. He makes $500 a night. He'll learn your entire fucking set in 3 days.
Yeah, for sure.
Show up with 0 rehearsals and be better than your original drummer who wrote the parts.
Right. And then he shows up with like this 47-piece kit, and he's like, "Oh, this is my practice kit. I got my studio kit at home.
I have my 96 piece at home.
Yeah,
it's too much to move."
He's the drummer's drummer, right?
Gotcha.
And then shortly after that, we had all our stuff stolen.
No shit. On the road or from
we
your
had
actual studio?
We had a show up north, and we had another show a couple days later. So for the very first time ever, we left everything loaded in the trailer and parked the truck at my house. I got up to go to work the next day, and the whole fucking thing's gone. The truck, the trailer, glass everywhere.
Wow.
Yeah. And then
I actually vaguely remember this now.
Yeah. Not too long after, I mean, shit got obviously weird after that. And then, like, a bunch of bands got together and threw, like, a benefit show for us. I think Reaping was on it, Rivkit at the Caboose. Like, all the ATB guys showed up, because I think they were friends with, I think Jeremy is friends with those guys.
Yeah.
Really cool show. Made a bunch of money to try to help us get not so much the gear, but like we lost all the merch, like the truck, the trailer, like the whole thing.
That ends bands, by the way, for listeners. Yeah, for the listeners that don't know, like why I'm kind of like speechless is because it's like this usually many times will just end a band.
Yeah,
because you can't recover financially from this because it's not just the gear. You can borrow gear from your buddies, but that merch, like you needed that merch to sell. Fuck blah blah blah, so you could get to town, so you could buy more t-shirts. Like the merch, man,
and just like the finger pointing between band members, like, oh, I said we should have went to the studio. I
fucking told you, you weren't listening, you fucking piece of shit.
So then,
this is your fault, Jared. I mean, Jesse. I mean James.
So like a week, maybe it was more than a week. It seems like it was the next day, but drummer and guitar player quit. I was like, why did you let all these people come together and throw this like benefit and raise all this money to help us out, and then you're just going to quit anyway?
What do you really think happened psychologically there? Do you think it was like literal? Because to me, immediately I think trauma and
as
PTSD.
Soon as something got difficult, they were out.
Yep.
I think that because it was so easy before then.
Well, and some of these guys, it's their personal equipment. Like, dude, I really love that guitar.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't.
I feel bad for. We call him J-Ram. He was in the band for like a week. We played. It was like his first actual. He filled in for a bunch. He was like our fill-in guy, and he was like, you know what? I think I want to do it. And we started working on some new stuff, and then he played his first official show in the band. And like 2 days later,
his gear gets stolen.
His fucking kit gets stolen.
And then he quits, and the drummer quits.
So J-Ram was the drummer.
Oh, okay.
And then
he was the drummer.
Foreman, the other guitar player, those two quit like the same day. I got like a voicemail when I was at my house.
Jesus Christ.
Hey, man.
It's more than some bands get.
Yeah.
Dying Euphoria got an email the day of a show. I'm out. And they called me up. Dude, I know you're not trying to be a singer anymore, but you used to, and you know the songs. We need you to fill in. And 3 months later, I'm the singer, kind of like J-Ram.
Right.
But yeah, that's like, oh man, that's heartbreaking. Because yeah, dude, if somebody stole this kit, I would be more than mad, because it's not just my drums. It's who I got these drums from, where these drums have been, the stages, the tours, the other people that have been in the room, the fucking audience. There's character in that kit, which is why I debate, like, if I ever go on another real tour, I'm probably going to drop, like, seriously, like, just $500 on, like, a shitty kit.
Like a first act from Target?
No, I'm saying just the shells.
Yeah, I know.
Just the shells. Like, you can get a decent kit for, like, $500-$600. And then as long as you know how to tune your heads and shit like that, and you got good cymbals and all, you got everything else going, and you know how to play, like, you can make them sound decent enough. Because I just don't know that I want to risk this kit on the road because of stories like that. I really feel for that, man. So you guys do this benefit. The scene comes together, and this is why I wanted to break this down and talk about this for a second, because, like, if this happens to me, right, my mindset, and I know this gets annoying, you guys. I ask a question, and then I answer it. It's not really what I'm doing. This is just how my brain works, so I apologize in advance. This is how I process this. Right? I go, okay, my life is gone because my life is music, and my instrument to perform this music is gone. It's been stolen. But then the scene comes together, everyone supports us, and I see the community and the love and the possibility and like the hope comes back but it doesn't sound like that happened for these other guys.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it sounds like to me. Do you
Right.
think that sounds about accurate, or have you had discussions with them since to confirm any of this shit? Because it almost, like I said, sounds like trauma and then PTSD.
Yeah.
And they were just like, I'm out. I can't do another tour.
I actually haven't talked to J-Ram since that day.
No shit.
I haven't even seen him. Because he never, like, didn't hang out in our group before then. So, like, why would he after? You know, I think it's more
That
of
makes sense.
But, like, Foreman, I still talk to Foreman all the time. But, like, with that show...
And for the listeners that don't know, Foreman's your other guitar player,
Yeah.
the one that quit.
Yep, Nick Foreman. He's got his own little thing going now. He's, like, recording a bunch of goofy covers and stuff. It's actually really fun.
Nice.
Like, total butt rock guitar stuff. It's
I love
awesome.
it. I love it.
But, so, like, I took all that money from that show and, like, reached out to all the other bands and, like, well, I think we just broke up. So, do you guys want, like, money?
Right.
And everybody's like, no. And I ended up, like, getting it to Dan Cobby. Like, you guys are actually doing stuff.
Wow.
So, like, here's all the stuff. Like, you guys did a
Holy
lot
shit.
for that show. So,
Wow.
like, you guys, I'm not going to, like, keep the money. I didn't lose that much stuff personally.
Really?
So, I mean, I lost, like, all my rack gear, 5150 a cab, but, like, my nice guitar was in the house and that kind of stuff. But
I think it's smart to have extra sets of gear like that. You got your
Yep.
road gear that if it gets stolen, it's not the end of the world. And then you got your really nice shit at home.
Mhm.
That's what you bring to the studio to record, so on and so
Right.
forth. I think that's smart, man.
and then, like, 18 months later, I get this phone call. Maybe it was a text, Facebook. I don't know what it was. My buddy Chris is like, hey, my guitar player just bought a road case and it's got your band sticker on it. He's like, does this
Ooh.
look familiar? I'm like, send me a picture. I'm like, that's my fucking road case.
Wow.
Where'd he buy it? Music Go Round in Burnsville. I go on their website. I'm looking around. I'm like, that's my Framus cab. Like, that's my tuner. You know, that's my rack mount stuff. That's Lions bass cabs. All this other shit. So my buddy Mike got a hold of a sergeant at St. Paul PD that he knew and hooked up with her, and basically we just went to Music Around. They're like, hey, we're insured for this. Like, we'll look everything up, go around the store and point at stuff. We'll get it in a pile. And they all look it up, and it all came in from the same guy, and I left with it that day.
That's
It
amazing.
wasn't everything.
How long was the period between you getting your gear back and it getting stolen?
Year and a half.
That is insane.
Yeah. Because I got to hold it for however long. But
But that's only like 30 or 60 days.
Yeah. So the story is, I probably know more than I was supposed to. I don't think Cop Lady was supposed to tell me as much as she did about, like,
Spill it.
this person.
Spill it.
Don't know who the guy is. But what I do know is that all
It
this
was Cameron from American Headshots. I'm just
Never
kidding.
get
That's
caught.
a total joke. I'm joking. I'm joking. You can't sue me for definition if I say it's a joke.
allegedly. No, but the guy that sold it to Music Around had won it all in an auction because it was sitting in a storage unit that no one was paying
So
for.
he couldn't be charged for it either then.
No,
He didn't
just,
knowingly take possession of stolen goods.
and the guy that owned the storage unit was already in jail for, I think it was stealing cars or something.
Wow.
So they couldn't even go after him for it because it's like, you think he's going to say anything? They're going to arrest him? He's already in jail.
Dude, think about that. Like, that just blows my mind because I've thought about getting into that storage unit shit, you know?
Mhm.
Just like, because I know a couple people
Storage
who make
wars.
bank on that shit,
Right.
dude. I know a couple people who make serious money on it. But they're like, it's risky, man. Because, yeah, I'll make $5 or $10 grand off a $300 locker,
Mhm.
but then I'll buy
7 other
12
ones.
consecutive
Yep.
at $300 and make nothing because it's
Right.
all garbage. I'm like, man, I don't know, but I drag my feet. But just imagine that locker.
Yeah.
$200, $300, $400, legit pro music
Right.
gear in there.
Right.
And you're not buying it as stolen, so you can't be charged. So when you bought that, he sold it, or when he bought it, then he turned around and sold it to Music Round, so they can't go after him and get the money back either.
Mhm.
They're insured, so it's win-win for everybody.
Right.
Like literally.
Except J-Ram. No drums.
Well, you know what? That's probably karma because he never talked to you again since that day. I blame J-Ram. And
Maybe.
I could do that because I've never met him and he's not here to defend himself.
Right. Yeah, I lost a PV guitar, which I never really played. It was like my backup. And then, but I did lose. I had the same 5150 forever, and the thing just was like a magic amp. I think it was broken. Like
Really?
It didn't sound like another 5150. Even the 5150 I have now doesn't sound like that one did. I don't know what was wrong with it.
Who knows? Somebody probably threw new tubes in it or something.
Yep.
Hot
But they
something.
knew somebody had bought it from the store like a few weeks before then. So like fucking just missed it. But they reached out to him, but he had bought it online and they had shipped to like the Carolinas or something.
Oh.
And he's like, whatever, I got $500 5150. I'm not going to give it back. You're
Of course.
crazy. Like,
That's what I bought mine for too.
yeah, I don't think I've ever paid more than that.
I mean, now you might,
Right.
because they're getting harder and harder to find. Now
Yeah.
you'll probably pay $800.
Yeah.
If it's
I
a
think
good
I paid
one.
$5 for
Yeah, I paid $5,
both.
and then I had to drop like another $100 into it to get it tuned up.
yeah, new tubes, whatever.
Or maybe it was even more than that because I had new tubes also put in it.
Mm.
But damn, does that motherfucker scream now?
Oh yeah.
My boy over at Metro, he doesn't really do it, but Metro's so cool they let him do it on the side through Metro, so you can call
Gotcha.
Metro, get in touch with him, drop
it
your app
off,
off
right.
at Metro, and then
Not-
he takes it home and works on it.
Sure.
But then you come back and pick it up through Metro, and they'll even give you like a security waiver. I got so fucking lucky, dude, because like I dropped my shit off right before the riots. They got looted, but they had my shit sitting on the floor under a storage rack in the back, and either the looters didn't know what it was or they just didn't see it because it was one of the only things that didn't get stolen.
Yep.
I don't know if they would have reimbursed me for it either because
Right.
technically it's not them.
Yeah.
But it might have been covered under their insurance. But I found out rioting isn't covered under most insurance. Rioting and looting is not covered under most insurance. Yeah.
I have no idea how that works.
Scary shit, dude. Like, that sucks. So you never got the amp back?
Nope.
Fucking bullshit, man.
I did get one of my Framus cabs back.
That's
which
fucking
was
crazy.
happy
So have you
about.
ever thought of rebooting that band?
We talked about it quite a few times, and then it always came down to like, well, who the fuck is going to play drums? Like,
That's a tough
I don't
one.
think any of us talked to the original drummer,
Right.
and then like we had thrown around like, oh, we'd get Lonick to do it. He was always kind of a fanboy, so maybe not for the music, but he was always there. So,
Right.
like, dude, he's another one of those guys that could learn it in a week and just show up and play it.
Right. Yeah. Drummers are hard to find, man.
Yeah.
Drummers are hard to find, especially if you're looking for one to like actually be in your band.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's something that I would be open to doing after I get my project up and running, because I still would love to be a drummer in a band again.
Mm-hmm.
I was a pretty bitchin' drummer, actually. I was probably, a lot of people say I'm a better drummer than I am at any of the other instruments.
Don't take much.
I know. That's what I say. But no, it's funny because I played guitar longer than I played any of the other instruments.
Mm-hmm. I know you hate it, but I thought you were a pretty good vocalist too. So
I was not good at that. I was not good at that. You guys are being nice, and I appreciate it. Thank you. But
I think I still have the old DE demo.
I was a
stuff.
good front man. Like,
Yeah.
I was a good entertainer.
Right.
But, like,
I remember going up and like untying your shoe all
Yeah.
the time when you were on stage.
sure. Yeah.
Just getting the finger.
Yeah. My favorite was the keychain game. You'd walk up and just fucking keychain somebody's shoe right as they're about to step on their pedal board. You watch them step and just put it right on top of their shoe because you know they're looking.
Yeah.
Fuck. The cool guys, they'd lean over, let you get one in mid-set. Mid-set. Didn't matter. You got me. Rain was always the best at it. He'd see it coming. He'd never look, and then he'd blind hit the thing, so he got to do you.
Right.
Yeah. Don't fuck with Rain with the keychain game. He's so good at that. So what you been up to now, man? Or what you been up to lately? Musically.
Musically. Playing acoustic in my living room.
Yeah. You got that
That's
other
pretty much
project. You sent me a demo. Let's do this actually. Actually, before we get too far deep, catching up to the present here. Let's play one of the links you sent me.
Sure.
So you sent me a video file. It's a song, but it's a video file from YouTube and then you sent me. Yeah, let's do that one because that's actually a moment without. So people that want to know what the fuck we're talking about this band, I've got a link. We'll pull it up here. Let me do this, and let me do this, and then let me do this. All right, that should be working here any second. In theory. There we go. There we go. There we go. Sorry, it takes me forever to do this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not very good at this right now. And I got to redo this because it takes me way too long to fucking get back to... I don't even know where it is. There it is. Flip cams. There we go. Now we're back.
I've seen some guys have like the old school Xbox controllers to like run all their podcasts and video stuff.
Yeah.
What?
I had this down to a science, and then I revamped it like I always do to make it better, and it is better. But the way I mapped my fucking thing is, it made sense when I did it. I was like, this is so organized. This is going to be sweet. Yeah, do this, do this, do this. And then you take like 24 hours away from it, and you're like, where's this button?
Yeah, you change one thing, and it's all fucked.
Yeah, I got to remap it and make it more common sense, so it's... Yeah, it's just way too convoluted right now.
I don't know what any of it is, so...
Yeah, I would try to explain it, but I don't really know what it is either. And I get easily confused, so... It doesn't work out very well. So that was a moment without... That's while you guys are in your prime. You're killing it. You're doing your thing.
Right.
How long between... Because you told me before the podcast, you got a side project that at some point in time you got to get going again, or a new project, or
at least
like
finish it.
Something.
Yeah.
You said you need a singer though.
But, yeah, there was a couple years where like jammed with some guys and did some fill-ins. So I actually filled in for Lions and Fischetti's old band before what they're doing now.
Shout out to Cobra Czar.
Yeah. And then Lions and I kind of started a new thing.
Keep going.
It was sort of like a moment without, maybe a little heavier. I don't know. And we wrote a bunch of stuff. We had like a couple different guitar players kind of hop in. My buddy Alex, who was in a band called Deadweight. And speaking of cool band names, he was in a band called Sweep the Leg Johnny.
Awesome.
Yeah. Cool hardcore band.
That's a great name.
Yeah. And we had a few singers like come down. Fischetti was one of them, and I just wasn't heavy enough for him. He needs like heavy, obviously. Right. And that kind of just went away. Probably two and a half years ago. We just kind of like stopped playing whatever. We all get busy. Alex got a kid. Like, all the things.
So what kind of singer are you looking for?
I kind of had like this idea after it didn't really work out, but I have like drums and guitars, and I can get Lions to do the bass, and then I'll record leads. But I kind of had like the idea of just having a bunch of different singers do stuff. There's like 5 songs that are basically recorded, and if somebody's like really good at screaming, have them do some of that. Get a couple guys that can sing, do that. Like, I know enough people with studio spots,
right,
that it's not like going to cost anybody money or anything. It's a little bit of time just to get it done, because I have like all this stuff laying around. I listen to it, I'm like, oh, that'd be cool if it was like done, but right now it's just a demo.
That's something that a lot of people have talked about doing for a long time.
Yeah.
And no one ever pulls it off.
Right. Do like the supergroup album thing.
Yeah, but with like a different singer on each.
Yeah.
No one ever does it.
Couple
no one's
different
ever
drummers and right.
However, Ian Severson from Ginger Jake.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he pronounces it Severson or Severson, but he just pulled it off. And there's another group in town that's doing something similar to that. Fuck, I forget their name. They're gonna kill me. But Justin Crandall's fucking with it. Your old singer.
Oh, Jerry.
Yeah. He's done a couple tracks.
I can't remember the name of it. I just like checked it out the other day.
Sorry, guys. Sorry. It's either me or your name's not very memorable. You can blame me if you want, but he can't remember it either. So, Dreams Aside, is that it?
Sounds right.
I think that is it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's weird. We talked about that for like 20 years and no one ever pulled it off. And now there's 2 different people or groups, however you want to look at that, 2 different entities.
Right.
Projects.
I think it's because people can't play live or haven't been able to.
You're probably right.
There's like,
probably
let's record a bunch of shit.
It's probably exactly what it is.
Yep.
I think you're right. Yeah, the pandemic just opened up a lot of opportunities and people didn't really have choices, so they're like, well, fuck it, I'll do that then.
Right. I don't know how many times is like in a band, but you'd be at a show and and you'd see a guitar player or a drummer and be like, it'd be fucking fun to play with that guy.
Yeah.
But I'm already like doing a thing.
Yeah.
Like there's so many of them.
And there was a period of time where there was a large group of us, and now I think this is counterintuitive, but it made sense for certain bands for a long period of time where it was like, no, dude, like you got to kind of just like be in this band. You can't be in two bands.
Right.
Because we need you focused on this deal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's true anymore.
No, definitely not right now. I mean, you kind of had to before. Like,
I don't even think it's smart, is what I'm saying. Like, I don't think you can survive as just the guitar player for band X from Chicago anymore.
mm-hmm.
You better be on Instagram. You better be doing guitar tutorials. You better be doing covers. You better have something on YouTube. Or you better be like an Eric Vobeda where you're in fucking 4 or 6 bands. And then even then, some of those guys still have to hold down a day job.
They're like pro musicians that's all they've done for 20 years that are like month to month right now.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm not even talking just pandemic. I'm just talking in the modern day music
mm-hmm.
culture, because you see that in comedy too. Like you can make a decent living, a fledgling living, just being a road comic.
Right.
But a lot of those guys start podcasts. A lot of those guys write TV shows, even if they don't want to act.
Mm-hmm.
They meet connections in the industries. They come up with ideas for funny TV shows or game shows, and they sell those. A lot of them do act, so they're still trying to get a sitcom, or like Tom Segura. He just takes, or Bill Burr. They just take little bit parts where they can pop in and out of really cool
Bill
projects.
Burr's got like that whole cartoon thing he does too.
Oh, that's a great point. I forgot about that. Yeah, F is for family. I forgot about that. Great point.
Yeah.
So even, you see what I'm saying? And so if we look at, and I draw a lot of analogies to comedians in general, but we can even look at literal musicians. I mean, look at literally any pop musician, and you'd think they're the richest, right? Because they're pop.
Right.
But even they diversify and have fucking colognes and perfumes and clothing lines and sneakers. Even fucking Metallica and Megadeth have their own alcohol now.
Right.
Like Metallica has blackened whiskey. Megadeth just launched fucking, I can't remember what the hell it is.
Everybody's got a bourbon. Like
yeah. Like The Rock. There's another great example. The guy is a literal movie star, a WWE legend.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to be making money out of the ass just from those things, and he still launches his own tequila line.
Right.
Conor McGregor, UFC fighter, made a fucking $100 million to go fight. What's his fucking a fake boxing match?
Dude
still has his own whiskey.
He makes hundreds of millions of dollars to lose fights, like the last 5 years.
See what I'm getting at though? Like I don't think you're gonna have a real career as a musician if you're just playing guitar or drums or even singing in one band.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think it's possible. And it's fine if you don't want to make money for a living as a musician. That's cool, but like, you're not going to get the same opportunities. And I don't want to bitch about things. I don't want to hear about you bitching about things. Not you specifically, but just people in general. Because here's the thing: is like that's why the scene died. It's because there's not enough bands that really truly love the music. Like, that's the crazy thing, is guys are like, oh, I just do it for the music. I'm not in it for the money. It's like, if you're not in it for the money at all, then you're not really in it for the music, because you're into something else for the money. So you're going to hold down that day job. You're going to go do these other things that take away from you becoming a great musician and putting out good music. That's going to bring fans in, which is going to build the scene, and it's going to bring venues back and crowds back, because there's a lot of people that truly care about the music so much that they want to make it actually truly great, that's all they fucking do. But when we prioritize anything else in our lives over our music, it's not really about the music then. You're just doing it for fun. You like music, you're doing it for fun, but your day job's way more important. And most of us aren't making $100,000 at our day job.
Right.
Most of us as musicians are making 35 to 50 grand a year. And there's YouTubers that are pulling in $400,000 a month for playing video games. Don't tell me we can't make money at this.
Right.
And I, for one, would much rather swing a drumstick than a hammer. And it's all a metaphor. It's all a big metaphor what I'm saying here. But I just don't think I don't think these ideas are mutually exclusive. Even if you are just like, hey, man, I got a kid. I don't ever want to tour. I don't ever want to do stuff like that. Okay, cool. But don't you want the scene so great that you could just be a local jobber? because this place is like LA, and there's so many fucking bands here, and we have such a thriving music scene. Or like Nashville, you know, there's guys that make $250,000 a year easy, never leaving Nashville, and all they are studio musicians,
right?
Because it's fucking Nashville,
right?
Like, let's be Nashville. If you don't want to be LA, if you don't want to be cool, let's be Nashville. Let's be the town where people go to record their album.
And there's some really nice studios here.
Fuck yeah, there are. And we have some of the best musicians and producers in the world right here. Even post Prince, we still have some of the best in the world right here. That's all I'm saying, man. And it just kind of frustrates me because I feel like it's just kind of a self-defeating attitude, and that's why our scene is suffering. That's why we have a hard time finding singers now. That's why you can go to LA and be a 45-year-old musician and join a band and like be fine with your life. But here, as soon as you're 30, like, oh, grow up, get a real job. Like, you can do the band thing on the side. It's like, why does it have to be on the side? Because no one understands here in this town how to not do it on the side and just do it for real. You know, and it's like this self-eating snake that's been evolving since
the self-licking ice cream cone.
Yeah, there you go.
Why is this melting?
Yeah, there you go. That's a great analogy. Yeah, the self-licking ice cream cone in 90-degree sun.
Yep.
Why can't we? Yeah, because nobody's making more ice cream to put in the cone.
But for a long time, it was really easy to be in a band.
Yeah.
Like, any amount of success, I guess, minimal effort it really took to get those shows. And we would just get offered those shows. I wasn't like kissing ass. We never didn't even pay. Like, we never paid to get on a bill.
If you were a good band and you were cool dudes, yeah.
We just got phone calls.
Hey,
like,
man, you guys want to play the show?
Yeah, you guys want to open for some band I had a poster of on my wall? And of course I do.
Name the band on 93X. They're coming through town. You guys want to play?
Oh yeah, there was those. But then there was bands that I like actually liked and got to open for. That was really cool.
Yeah, it was wild because it was like we had leadership, we had venues, we had managers, we had booking agents. You know, this was a place to be, and we weren't even in. We were still in like a silver age. We weren't even in the golden age of the music scene.
Babies.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, the music age of the music scene in Minneapolis, the golden age of the music scene in Minneapolis was like somewhere in the 80s through the late 90s, early 2000s. By 2004, it was already starting to fall off when you and I started jumping in. And by 2010, it was fucking dead. 2012, it was actually dead.
In A Moment Without, there was a huge difference between like the first 2 years and the last 2 years.
And I don't like hearing this shit about like, oh, it's the internet. Because guess what? Here's the deal. The hip-hop scene's been thriving this whole fucking time. So it's us. Don't blame the world. I don't want to hear these fucking excuses. We as a metal community, as a hard rock community, let our fucking scene die. And we don't know how to run our own ships.
Right.
So how are we going to build this shit? Because look at the hip-hop scene. They're doing fine. Like,
I know zero things about the hip-hop scene.
They're crushing it. They have huge shows. They have huge shows. Like, and I'm not just talking what's his name's festival. What's it called? Fucking, dude from Atmosphere.
Oh, sure.
What's that fucking festival he does every year? His record label. Fuck. People are eating me alive. They're like, I thought you knew music, you idiot. Forget what the name of it is, but that thing's crazy big. That's like the Ozfest of hip hop now.
Yeah.
I don't think they tour the country though. I think it's just here. I could be wrong. I'm really kind of talking out of school right now. But I've been to other hip hop shows and other events where hip hop acts come. And they're doing fine. Like Bauhaus had a fucking thing a few years ago. And we went down there and it was some sort of like, I don't know what the fuck it was. It was like a brewery / music / food truck thing. I don't know.
Yeah, like a big outdoor
thing. There's like 5,000 people there.
Yeah.
At least it seemed like 5,000 people. It was an obnoxiously loud crowd. And we've seen 1,500 people in The Rock in Star Central. Right. We've seen 1,800 people at First Avenue. We know what that's why I'm saying it was like 5,000 people.
Yep.
Because it was like 5 rocks. You know what I mean? Like full. For a hip hop show. For a hip hop act called Shredders. So I don't want to hear this shit that it can't be done anymore. Music's dead. The scene's dead.
Mhm.
Internet killed everything. YouTube's the no. Something we're doing wrong. That's what, and I don't know. I don't have the answers, but I can definitely tell you what a lot of the problems are. I can at least identify what we're not doing correctly. I just don't know how to fix it. You know, I'm like, listen, man, I can tell you I have a blown engine. I cannot necessarily replace the entire engine by myself.
Right. Even when
I need
was
a little
like
bit of help with that one.
in the thick of it, I didn't know what was going on half the time.
Really?
Yeah. Like you say, you don't get into it for the money. I'm doing it for the music.
What was your motivation for it? Because I'm telling you, like, we all do it for one of three reasons. We all either do it for fame or some version of that. Maybe it's recognition from your peers, fine, but that's still technically fame if you boil it down. Money or bitches. Like, you're either trying to get laid, get money, or get fame. Like, that's why you become a musician. And I'm not saying that's why you pick up a guitar, but that's why you get in a band. That's why you, like, record music, put an album together, buy merch, start playing shows, give a fuck about how well you're. It's one of those three things. You either want respect or fame, right? Money or women. For me, it was I wanted respect and I wanted to get laid. Like, that's what it was. Like, I wanted other musicians to be like, dude, you rock, man.
Right.
Like, that makes me feel good.
Right.
It's really easy to impress a non-musician. But then I was a skinny kid. And yeah, I was good at sports, but there was a lot of other guys who were good at sports. There was a lot of guys who were better at sports than me. Well, I was trying to get laid. Like, I wanted girls. And rock stars are, like, the coolest thing on the planet. So I was like, yeah, I want to do that. I'm just lucky I was good at it. I'm really lucky I was good at it, man, because if I sucked, I wouldn't have gotten any girls. I'm convinced still to this day I do not want, outside of me being a musician, I'm still not sure why any girl has let me anywhere near her vagina. If I didn't play guitar, I'm pretty sure I would have never got any. What about you, though? What if you really think about it, what was your real motivation?
Probably the first one. Just the street cred.
The cred. The respect.
Yeah, with peers.
That falls under fame, technically.
Right.
You know, maybe not. You don't want to be like paparazzi famous, but yeah. You want to fucking.
Well,
like,
you wouldn't be in a metal band if you wanted to actually be famous.
I mean, James Hetfield got famous, you know, and we didn't know any better back then. We all thought we could have been James Hetfield.
Right. Yeah, for me, it was Dimebag.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody
for
knew
sure.
who Dimebag was.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's important that we identify those motives for that. Because if you can acknowledge that, because a lot of guys are like, no, man, I just love the music. If you just love the music, you wouldn't have left your basement.
Right.
Like, come on, let's just be honest, because here's the point. Whatever motivates you, let that be your motivator. Yeah. And that's the reason you need to keep working and get better and care more so you can get more of that.
Right. Even if it's just you like getting together with buddies and jamming and playing live and like your social circle. If that's all it is, do that.
Exactly.
Because I think for a lot of people that's what it is, but then I don't know, it's like I don't even know how to explain it.
But if those guys, though, those are the type of guys that never complain that they're not getting the good shows.
Right.
Like, how come we don't ever get asked to open? Well, because you guys have openly said it's just about the hang. It's therapy for you. Like, you're just getting together in a room once a week so you can fucking get out your aggression. And yeah, you love playing shows. And so you're going to always just be the opening band on local bills. You're not getting the national shows. Those booking agents ask those local bands because the national band hasn't sold out the crowd.
Right.
They haven't. And so they go, okay, let's call one of the better local bands that can draw 500 people and help us sell out this show.
Mm-hmm.
That's why that happens.
Right.
It's a business. I hate to break it to people, man, but it's a business. And this is, again, looking at it as just caring about the music is fine, but
depends what you want.
It's just never going to go anywhere. Like, this is why we all know hundreds of great musicians that can run circles around both of us, and we've had more success than them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there's some like 14-year-old girl right now just shredding.
I know several people that have no desire for fame, fortune, or bitches, and they've never left their basement. Mm-hmm. And they can run circles around every guitar player I know.
Yep.
Even famous ones that are literally like huge.
Mm-hmm.
The Ingves of the world. I know a couple dudes that can make him look silly, but they have no, and so they don't leave the house.
Right.
They write music. They have entire albums. They're not on iTunes.
They're not out there for the world. It's just for them. Those are the guys that are really in it for
They might
just
have like
the
a
music.
SoundCloud.
Maybe,
So-
but they
Right.
don't share it with anybody.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
if you ask them, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, you can check it out. It's over here." And then all of a sudden, you find out they're like, they got 1 million downloads in Japan or something. But they're like, "Oh no, I'm never playing a show. No, I don't
Right.
want to do that. I really like my IT job." Those guys do exist, but those of us that are like in a band, we're playing live shows, we're making T-shirts and stickers, and like we care. It's not just about the music, because otherwise we wouldn't put all that effort into it.
Right.
You'd just be like my other buddy. I'm not going to name it, but he knows who I'm talking about. If he's watching right now, he knows exactly I'm talking. He's one of those type of dudes. But I think it's important when we talk about that, though, because when we talk about that, we can actually start to self-analyze our own selves and our own bands, and that's ultimately what we need to do to get better. And like, if you can't self-analyze whether you're working, and it's not always about working hard too. Do you ever? Let me ask you this one: how many times have you run across a guy who practices like 3 hours a day, 3, 4, 5 times a week, and he's just not getting better? It's like, okay, you have the work ethic, but you don't know how to work.
You don't know how to practice.
Yeah,
Right.
you're just like running through the motions. Like
Mhm.
it's
They got those guys that can up and down scales, sweep every arpeggio. They know all this music theory, but they could never write a riff that would get stuck
yep.
in your head. Kind of those same guys.
Yeah, that I talk about that on the podcast a lot too. The difference between being able to play an instrument and write a song.
Mm-hmm.
Two completely different personality types. However, you can find, and oftentimes do find, people that can do both. But yeah, it's
Sometimes it's not the same guy in the band though either. Like
true.
even in AMW, like I wrote most of the songs.
AMW, when you say it like that, dude,
It's great. We had a hat once that it had like the AMW and then it said All American Metal instead of All American
And
Food.
did you bite the logo? Did you? You should have like put a mug in there instead of a ice cream float
Right,
or root beer float. It should have been like a beer,
right,
you know, or 2 beer, whatever the logo is. You
Yeah.
should have played on that.
right. We never really ran with it because I was like, is that copyright stuff? I
Well,
don't
Devil
know for
Inside
sure.
got sued by Intel, so you
Yeah.
got to be careful with that.
Right. You know, Reaping was doing like the Wild jerseys for a while back in the day.
Did they ever get hit for that?
I don't think so.
Because they got the Cobra Crew ones going on right
Mhm.
now. I don't think they've ever gotten hit. I mean, they're signed too, so they're
Yeah, no, I would
they
hope.
probably get consultation from
Right.
their label on what they can and cannot get away
We would have
with.
never sold enough to like
I know, right?
bother. So
And it would have
they
been
actually
such
might.
it's and it would have been such great press anyways.
Yeah.
Local band sued by A&W for
Yeah, and we
trademark infringement.
we stole like one of the Eminem sayings on the. We had a shirt on the back. It said "melts in your face, not in your hand." It's like so way more metal than we even were.
That's amazing. That's clever, dude. I love that kind of shit. So you started this project after a moment without. You're still looking for a singer.
Mm-hmm.
That hasn't been up and running. But you got super into archery, dude.
Yeah.
That I think is super interesting. Before we dip into the archery thing, I want to take a couple questions here. Cindy Sanders has retracted her message. Oh, Cindy. I don't know what you're doing. Oh, Soundset. Thank you, Scrawny Dead Boy. Soundset. That's the festival I'm talking about. The
That's
hip-hop
Mike
festival.
Byrne, Scrawny Dead Boy. I can't believe he still has that handle. That's like old musicscene.org days.
That's hilarious. That's how long ago he created his YouTube account.
Mike Byrne.
For real though. I think I know Mike Byrne. I think
You probably do.
he hates me. I'm surprised he's
He
watching
might.
this right now.
I don't know.
I annoyed the shit out of him because I didn't know enough about gear at Guitar Center, and I would try to help him when Jacob wasn't there. And I could just tell, I could see the loathing for my lack of knowledge
Yeah.
in his eyes.
I could see that. Yep.
He always seemed cool. I always respected him a ton. Everybody said nothing but high praises about him when it came to his like knowledge, and
Oh yeah.
everybody had so much respect for him. I was always just trying to like befriend him and like try to learn shit, but He always seemed irritated with me. I always thought that was funny. If that's the same guy I'm thinking of. But thank you, because you are correct. That is exactly the festival I was talking about. That's the one from Rhymesayers. That's also the record label. I couldn't think of the fucking name. Slug. That whole deal. The hip hop scene is thriving. So I'm really just getting tired of hearing all that shit. Thank you for clarifying that, brother. And Quack, my boy down in Texas, says The Rock also has a line with Under Armour. So yeah, we were just talking about even the big guys. They just they got shit going on. I think I saw a fucking question up here earlier. What's the music scene like in Wisconsin right now? Shit's opened up. You're over there.
Yeah, I have no idea. I live in a little tiny town.
You don't go out
in the middle of nowhere.
You don't go out.
Well, it's like cover band stuff.
Oh,
if you go out by us,
not a lot of original acts.
No, and then I don't even know if there's really anything like Hudson would be like the bigger of the cities.
Do they even have a venue? I don't ever remember
No.
Hudson having a venue.
Mm-mm.
It was always, what were the towns we always did?
Menominee, La Crosse, Eau Claire.
La Crosse and Eau Claire. Those were the two I remember. And then Milltown, if you were lucky enough to get all the way to Milltown.
The funny thing, they used to have like a skate shop in the town I live in Amory. And they used to do like this we actually played there once with Dying Euphoria.
No shit.
Like some outdoor festival thing at this little tiny skate shop on the side of a highway in the middle of nowhere. 12 years later, I live in that town. And
no shit.
The building's there. The stage is there. It's all caved in and all shitty.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe you should talk to somebody in town and build a venue. I mean, you fucking farm boys out there, you just build shit in like 3 weeks. You'll have it built up to code and open for business.
Yep.
Yeah, build us a venue in Amory, Wisconsin, dude.
There's probably some
because you're
places
far enough out there where you're one of those towns where you'll get kids from 400 square miles.
Oh, dude, those were like the best shows to play too.
That's why I brought up Milltown. Did you ever play in Milltown, Wisconsin?
I don't know if we ever did. I know where it is.
Spanbauer put bands out there, and you had to go through the gamut. You had to open to nobody, and then you could play second to like 30 people, and then you could play direct support to like 150 people, and then he would book you as a headliner, and you would have that place fucking sold out, and there was like at least 300 to 500 kids that would be able to pack that place, and you'd have lines outside around the door, it was insane because there was nothing.
Then by the end of it, they're all wearing your t-shirts, and they're all sweaty and gross and stinky.
Yeah, it was insane.
Yeah,
it was one of the craziest.
Small towns were my favorite places to play. College towns were cool too.
I never did
usually
the
small
circuit.
towns.
Tell me about the college circuit. What's that like? I never did the college circuit.
A lot of them were free shows because it's college.
In case anybody didn't, we did answer the things. Most of the right now, Western Wisconsin music scene is like mostly cover bands right now. So there's not much of anything going on right now
that I know of.
Because he also lives in the middle of nowhere. So
right.
May not be the best Wisconsinite for us to ask the current status.
I've only been there a couple of years.
Let's get the Blue Ox boys on.
Right.
Oh wait, they're not from Wisconsin. I always thought they were from Wisconsin. Apparently, they're like, why do you think that? I'm like, I don't fucking know. Sorry. Go ahead. Finish what you were saying before we jump back into the question.
I don't remember what I was saying.
I feel like, I said, tell me what the college circuit is like.
Oh,
because I never did that.
So you wouldn't even really have like. Nobody knew actually who any of the bands were. They were just going to bars because they're college kids, and that's what they do on the weekends. So they go into a bar where there's no cover charge. They drink cheap beer and go and like mosh, and then they leave. It was awesome.
They ever buy anything?
Merch and stuff? Not really.
Interesting, because that's
but
not
really,
the college circuit I heard about. I heard
really
about like
shows.
I heard about frat shows.
Oh, like house party stuff.
Like. So when somebody was telling me, dude, I got to get your band booked in the college circuit, and I'm like, yeah, we'll do it. And it just never worked out. But there were several times where they were like, dude, listen, like I go to the U, and like we do these shows, and they're at like these frats, and some of them are in mansions. And he's like, dude, I'm telling you, this is like the craziest shit you could ever play. And there's huge swaths of bands that literally blew up on the college circuit. And they weren't at venues or bars. They played in the frats. And yeah, you just had to find the right people at each college. And there was always somebody at each college, each major, including the U, where they'd book real bands, but you'd be in a house. They'd like build a little fucking 1-foot stage, shit like that. Ooh, who's calling me? Should we answer it? Should we answer it? Let's see who it is. Damn it. This is a courtesy call about your extended warranty on your car.
Right.
Son of a bitch.
That
I was
could've
hoping it
been
was
fun.
one of my buddies.
Now, college towns were fun because it would be not necessarily music fans.
Do you get paid?
Yeah,
Do you
because
get
the
paid
bar
well?
the bar makes a shitload of money if there's live music. Whether they don't even care who you are.
So you're not necessarily pulling fans or selling merch, but you are gaining actual money that you
Yep.
can use to fund other shit.
Right.
Brilliant.
You're also meeting other bands in those areas where, like,
Where they might be
You-
doing real shit.
yeah,
Fucking brilliant.
I think that's how we met a lot of the St. Cloud bands.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah, because they would end up coming over here a lot, and then we would go there and play a lot.
That's sweet, dude. That's really cool. Okay. Let's see.
Although talking to each other in the chat.
Let's see here. There is a fourth option on why people get into music. It's therapeutic. I did say that, dude. See, you're not listening. I said it. It's just therapy. I literally said that. I've heard that. Yep. I totally get that. But those guys, I totally respect that if you do that, but then just don't complain about like nobody's buying our CD, nobody listens to our music, we're not getting booked on the shows. Because like you're doing it as like literally a physical rehab. And honestly, most of the guys that do that don't spend money. If you're just doing it for therapy, like literally, whether it's, I'm going to finish reading this thing, misery, pain, brokenness, whatever, that kind of stuff. True. But if you're just doing it for therapy, if that's your motivation, then you're probably not shooting a music video. You're probably not recording an album. And if you are, you're not like promoting it and you're not trying to like be successful and draw a crowd. Therefore, you're also probably not disappointed by the lack of exposure you're getting. Like I'm talking about a very specific type of musician we have in this town that is bitching and complaining about how everything's gone and they're not doing anything to make the scene better.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're not doing any, and they're not actually even doing anything to make their own band more successful or their own solo music more successful. And a lot of these people, that's what I've noticed is I'm not like passively talking about any one person. I'm talking about a group of people that I've seen that are trying to like go solo almost, right? They're not like in a band, right? Like
Right.
take Samathwa, for example. I think I'm wearing their t-shirt under this actually. They're still a real band. So I'm like not even necessarily talking about a group like that or a Moment Without where it was like a band.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about these guys that are like trying to do the thing and they're struggling. I know a bunch of them. I'm not going to name any of them or call any of them out because they're not here to defend themselves. But like, I'm like, yeah, but you're not really doing it right either. Like, whether it's your music's not very good or your production value's really low or you're a fucking raging alcoholic and you go on stage drunk every time. You know, there's 1,000 reasons.
Some of
we
those
could
bands
list
are
off here.
awesome,
You know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. You know what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
And we even played with a lot of those bands, but they never became headlining bands.
Right.
The ones we were cool with never bitched about it either. They were like, nah, dude, we're just happy to open, man. We're just here for the party. Like, they knew and they were cool about it. It's the guys who are like, they get frustrated and they get angry and they get bitter, you know, and they start to become tortured musicians because, like, no matter what they do, they're just not making it. And, like, then they start blaming, oh, it's fucking internet. It's people, man. The music scene's dead.
Yeah.
It's
I think
like,
I had like a few years of that
I did too.
after the A Moment Without stuff,
I did too.
you know, because I wasn't going to blame us for it. It was everybody else's fault.
I did too.
Yeah.
And then that's the point is I had to start like, and I didn't like, it's not like I took a long, hard look at myself and really, no, I started listening to other people in other industries, specifically comedians. And I started hearing comedians talk about how they struggled and how they had to get through the industry. And it's a little different because there's a little bit more of a clear roadmap for them. But
Right.
that's because the industry is more set in stone in how it works. Even post-internet, post-YouTube, post-social media. Our industry got turned on its head, and there's a bunch of people who have blown up, but There's no group. There's no like even in the YouTube community, right? Let's say you started a YouTube channel for your archery shit. We were talking about this, a couple different times on a couple different podcasts with a few different people. Let's say you decided to get really serious about YouTube and making archery on YouTube. Even there, like, you have to, how do I fucking say this? Basically, you got to kind of understand that the industry has evolved, and whether you're doing comedy or you're doing archery or you're doing music, all of these things are a part of it now. So like Cam Hanes is super famous, and I believe still to this day has a day job.
He does.
He probably makes more money off of his online presence and his brand deals with Under Armour than he does at his day job. Still has a day job, probably for the health benefits.
Hey, yeah, who knows?
It's probably something like that, or a
Right.
sweet 401k he bought into when he started off. But it's not just God. I didn't lose my train of thought, but I'm like losing my ability to describe what I'm saying without rambling any further. Maybe it'll come back to me. But I started listening to these other guys and musicians and people blow up during all of this. And I started just seeing the holes in my own bands. I started looking back and going, oh, well, we never did that. This band blew up. They're doing this. Oh, man, if I'm ever in a band again, I think we should do something like this. This seems really cool. And then all of a sudden I started hearing comedians talk about it on their podcast. Yeah, I was talking with my agent and they really fucking humbled me. Or this other comedian pulled me aside and he's like, no, dude, you're not listening. You got to do it this way. And I just heard so many direct correlating analogies to the music business. It just like slowly over a period of probably 2-3 years between, I don't know, I was probably 28, 29 years old and 32. Somewhere in there, it was like a slow thing where I started to go, oh, this is why our scene fell apart. This is why none of us are making it. This is why people get frustrated and leave Minneapolis and say, fuck this town, I'm going to LA. And then within 3 months, they have a legit career as a musician. And they've been struggling and having a problem in Minneapolis for 10. Now I get it, there's more people out there, sure. But again, look at Nashville. Very similar size to Minneapolis. If they can do it, we can do it. But they have, just like the comedy industry, they have like a way things are done.
Yeah,
and then
there's a culture.
And then they brought in the online thing. Instead of us, we had a way things were done, and then the online came, and we were like, and we just fell apart. I don't know. I'm just frustrated about it because I'm sick of listening to people bitch about it and lament or leave. And I'm like, I think we can do this here. Because we've seen bands launch out of here, too, when they do it right. Hip-hop acts, fucking go back to American Head Charge and everywhere in between. There's several. Trampled by Turtles comes out of Duluth. Like, I mean, come on, dude. Any genre of music, it's irrelevant. You can do it. Even after The Burial had some amazing successes. Brutal and heavy as fuck.
Yep.
You can do it. We can all do it. Like, that's the other thing. Is
like Epicurean.
There you go.
The closest thing to black metal in Minnesota.
Got signed to Metal Blade.
Right.
One of the biggest labels out there for metal music. We can do it. And that's what I'm really, I keep saying like, oh, I want to swing a hammer, not a drumstick, or a drumstick, not a hammer. But like, what if we just make it more relatable and like, don't you want to open for your favorite band? Like, wouldn't that be like the cool, pick your band, Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, Dimebag, fucking whichever band. Maybe because you're a Dimebag fan, maybe you're like, well, Pantera's not around, so hell yeah. Okay, well, like, don't you want your band to be good enough to have that opportunity? Don't you want to put in that work? And all of that has to do with acknowledging the fact that we need people to like it, and we gotta like sell, and we gotta fucking play the business thing and do the deal. And once the industry changed, I just don't think a lot of us adapted, man. And it's driving me nuts listening to people complain about it. Let's see here. Mike Byrne, he says, I've lately seen his testicles.
We all have.
I don't think I've seen your testicles. We haven't spent that much time together. And Hudson has Dibbos?
Had Dibbos.
Oh, it had Dibbos.
Yeah, I don't know how long.
Gotcha. Boobies and beer.
That's my wife.
Samantha.
Yeah.
Samantha, boobies and beer. That sounds like a great wife. Sean says I have an echo. Check. Oh, I know what that is. There we go. That should be gone now. Or it should be lighter. You just got to make sure you stay really close on that.
Yeah.
I slowly been turning you up because you're
Gotcha.
such a soft speaker. And these are not high-end professional broadcasting mics. These are SM58s. I could take these on stage.
Hey, they work for guitar. Is that 57s?
Yeah, 57s. They're almost the same thing. It's irrelevant, but
Right.
Everybody's Bar and Grill in Chippewa Falls has original bands. Really? That's out in Chippewa Falls, huh? That's the thing, too, is it's not like Wisconsin is one spot.
No.
Especially when we talk about Wisconsin. I mean, when we refer to Wisconsin, we refer to the border, which is like anywhere from Duluth to fucking Iowa. You know what I mean? There's hundreds of square miles.
We're talking about the towns you can go to drink after
from here
1 a.m.
Yeah, because Chippewa Falls, I don't think that's super but I don't think that's like close to me either.
By Eau Claire.
Well, that's not too bad.
Yep.
But and that's the other thing is the reason we asked it and the reason we phrased it this way is we're not dismissing anybody else. We're ignorant because when we played, there was only really a couple towns that were worth playing at certain times a year, and it was Eau Claire and La Crosse.
Yep. Menominee too. I always had fun playing it.
I never played Menominee.
There was this little tiny bar called Mr. Heavy's.
Oh,
there was
you
like
know what? I did play Mr. Heavy's.
Yeah, there's like a dance club upstairs.
Yep, I did play.
And then, like in the ceiling was like this tall, and there was half a cop car in the wall.
I do remember that place. Yes,
that place was awesome. We would try to play there. Lions went to school in Menominee, so did
I went to boarding school in Menominee.
Sounds right.
Lions, put in the chat if you know about Peniel Christian School in Menominee, Wisconsin. I went to boarding school there. I did. I got sent away because I was a troubled teen.
Yeah, Lions and our drummer, the original drummer in that band, went to Stout. So, like the whole time they were there, we would play at Mr. Heavy's on homecoming.
And that place was fucking packed.
It was 4 people in that place is packed. It was awesome.
4 people.
I think this was probably in the aEstyria days we played there with Nuisance. They might have still had the crew attached to it. But no, they were probably just Nuisance. But saw Shags and Vince like get in a fight on stage.
With each other or with 2 other people?
With each other.
Oh, no shit. On stage during their own show. It
was awesome.
Oh, man. So let me ask you this. So how long have you actually played guitar? When did you start playing guitar?
I think I was 11. Probably 11. My older brother played guitar.
Okay.
I think he got into guitar when he was probably like 15 or something. So after he was like playing stuff, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Was he like good or did he just fuck around with it?
I thought he was awesome at the time.
Sure.
And then...
So it's not like he was just like he had a guitar and he would like strum it every once
in
a while.
His first guitar was a Gibson SG Standard. Like he went all in.
Like a legit guitar.
Right away. Yeah.
Wow.
So I remember like figuring out the combination on his guitar case.
Nice.
Open it up and just like lifting up that velvet satin cover on the inside.
Yeah.
Like touching the thing.
Did he was he ever in a band or did he just jam on his guitar?
He messed around with like Jamal and those guys.
Oh, no shit.
Growing up. Like that's how I met probably most of those guys.
Interesting.
Yeah. But he went off to the Navy right after high school and then like never moved back basically. So like he's out by Seattle now.
So you started getting into music. What inspired you to start taking it seriously, like beyond just dicking around with it? Because obviously your brother went into the Navy, right? So it's not like I want to be like my brother because you didn't do that.
Right.
So when was the trigger where you were like, you know what, I want to be in a band? Or even just you started being like, I want to be a good guitar player. Like when was the first step where you were like, it was more than just fucking around to you?
I think it was the guys my brother hung out with, which would be like Jamal. There's another guy named Tuck. John Keefe, Jim Bungert. They were like in Pine City. They were like the band. Maybe at the time, I think they were called Hinge, and they did like Tool covers and a bunch of cover songs. But then they had originals. So I was like, I want to be like those guys. So I didn't know anybody that played, but it was like, oh, that guy plays like jazz drums in high school in 8th grade or whatever it is. Like,
Right.
You want to play Metallica stuff?
Okay. And so you just fell into it?
Pretty much.
Interesting. And so Jamal kind of already had his own little group of guys. And so you were just kind of trying to keep up with them almost, then it sounds like.
Yeah, I was like probably the annoying kid that showed up all the time.
Gotcha.
And then Jamal was in a band called Breechless. I think he was living down here. Some of the guys were still living up north.
Breechless?
Yeah.
That's probably racist somehow.
Sounds like it.
Knowing him, the most racist bass player in Minnesota.
And I don't know what happened. I was 16 years old, and Jamal either like left or hiatus kind of thing from that band. So I was like, I can probably play bass. I don't even own one.
That's what you were talking
But
about.
I'll
earlier.
play.
Gotcha.
So I hopped in with those guys, and I was 16. I think John was 18. The rest
And you'd
of the
already
guys
been
were,
dicking around on guitar for a few years.
Yeah. And then the big thing was, I remember
What did Jamal do?
Jamal was a bass player in that band.
So he dipped.
Yeah, for a little while.
Gotcha.
So I hopped in. This is like in 2000.
Sorry if you said that.
Probably.
I apologize.
Oh, it's fine. And I think we played a show at like the Red Sea, probably back in the day. And
For the listeners,
what was
for
that
the
guy's
listeners,
name? Eric?
For the listeners, we gotta pause here because a lot of people have no idea why I'm chuckling, and for the viewers that don't know why you're smiling as I'm chuckling. So quickly tell them the saga of the Red Sea as fast as you can.
Oh, like the whole saga?
Like, yeah, bullet point it because we could spend an hour and a half on this.
Right. On the place or the people?
The place and the saga of the place.
I
You
only
can even
ever
throw in the people.
Yeah, I only ever played there a couple times, but it was really small venue. They would let anybody come in and play, basically. Like, we lived an hour away. Why are you letting us play? We're not like we probably brought people, but it was probably like 3 bands from up north.
Yeah.
Coming down and playing at the Red Sea.
It was truly the beginner level.
Yeah.
It was the lowest level of the music industry. It was, and I say this kind of shittily, but also in a good way because it gave a chance for any band to get stage time.
Right.
Any band could play there.
The cool thing about it is there's some things about that Eric fella.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah. But at the end of your set, he would hand you a CD, and it was a live recording of your set. I think our keyboard player, Rocky, at the time, basically took that and ran to the Quest with it. And I don't know who was doing the Quest for Mayhem stuff, but like that night, we were basically put on a Quest for Mayhem.
Crazy.
Yeah. I didn't even know what the Quest was, I don't think. I probably
Right.
saw like Mudvayne there once before that. You know what I mean?
I never
Like,
played there. I tried to get in there, and then they shut it down finally forever before I ever got in there because the Quest for Mayhem shit, that was done before I ever got involved.
Yep.
That was
like being that young, and we played like what was that called? The Adscott room, the upstairs.
The Ascot room, yeah.
Yeah. We played up there, but then do you remember Dog Fashion Disco?
And I remember the name for sure.
Yeah. They were headlining the main stage that night. And there was probably, I don't know who would have played. I don't remember any of the other bands that played. It was a long time ago. But that's what did it for me. Was playing like a real venue for the first time that young. I was like, well, I'm hooked.
Gotcha.
Fuck.
That makes
I'm
sense.
screwed now.
That shit's addictive.
Yeah.
Like in high schools, talent shows don't count because I've had this conversation.
I
with
played a
people
few of
like-
those before that too.
Yeah,
but
and it's not the same.
no.
It's not the same when you play a real venue with like fucking subs and like you feel that and it,
Right.
man. And then if there's a decent crowd there and you do well and they cheer, it's just like, oh my god.
Yep.
The euphoria is. I mean, we just kind of did put it into words, but it's really not possible to actually describe it. But I was just curious about that. Yeah. So before we get too far back on track, so you guys do the Red Sea. You kind of fucking, you're doing your thing. But the reason we got to stop and pause on the Red Sea thing is because it was the shittiest venue in town.
Yep.
Anybody could play there. They were notorious for only having really shitty bands.
Right.
Like, it was not something you would actually put on your resume, but you did put it on your resume to show real booking agents you've already done the shitty clubs.
Sure.
Like, you're not, most musicians in this town back then didn't jump from their garage to your proverbial Urban Wildlife or Star Central. Those were another tier.
Yep.
Star Central wasn't technically around yet, but you know what I'm getting at. Like, there was tiers to the clubs, and Red Sea was the one in the garage, that side room at the garage, and then there was another one, the Enigma Center in Shakopee. There was like 3 or 4 of these that, like,
right. Or you'd play like the Lab on a Tuesday night at 10 o'clock.
There you go. Perfect. Exactly. Anybody can get on these shows. You got to do like, and I'm serious. I think I remember him being like, you had to do these 3 or 4 things and prove that you had like paid your dues at these shitty
like
places.
Sharky's Underground.
Something like that.
Thing?
Yeah. It was, but I think even Sharky's started to get legit.
Yeah. I'm trying to think like the high school, the places we played when I was in high school.
Yeah. And I was, anyways, so this place was never an esteemed place, but we all got our shot there.
Right.
We all had, not anymore, but our generation, we had to go through this place. And then later, that place got shut down because the fucking owner, this Eric dude, and his wife apparently had a kid that they would lock in a fucking dog kennel.
Yeah.
Barely big enough for the kid to even be in, for days on end without food or water. And like, it turned into this huge, crazy fucking thing. So anytime on this podcast, if anybody ever brings up the Red Sea, this is why they smile when they say it, and this is why I always chuckle.
There's no reason for me to remember that guy's name.
Right.
I think I played there twice, and it was 20 years ago.
Thank you.
But I remember that guy.
I think we played there twice too. I think we played there once as an opening band. We came once as a headlining band, and then we never played there again.
Right.
But we needed to tell that story because that hasn't come up on this podcast before. It's famous ancient history in this town, but it paints a lot of context for a lot of things. So now that I've said that, next time it comes up, I'll just refer you guys back to this episode. But so, okay, so you guys, you played a couple gigs, you do the Red Sea, then you end up in that fucking Quest for Mayhem, and you're hooked.
Right.
You're hooked.
And then like shortly after that, Jamal came back, and I was out of that band.
No shit.
Yeah.
Because you weren't very good at bass.
Well, I wasn't a bass player for one. And
we talked about that on the last podcast too, yeah.
Cocky little 16-year-old. The rest of the guys are out of high school, and Jamal was probably like 45 back then.
Yeah.
So
he's 79 right now.
He had like a real bass. And like
Jamal, what was it like
house.
when dirt was invented? That's what I want to know. Oh man. Okay, so you get booted out of that band, but not in a shitty way, obviously. It's not like they hated you. It's not like things went south.
No,
obviously, Jamal came back.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, man, sorry, dude.
Right.
So you had a positive enough experience that even though that negative experience happened to you, it clearly motivated you and you wanted more. So what was the first band you put together? Is that aEstyria?
No. That was Jamal's band too. After that, it was still like a couple more years in high school.
Oh, that was Jamal's band? That's why that band didn't work out. Gee, now it's all making sense. I love you, Jamal. We're just fucking around, buddy.
No, but then it actually, like, after I stopped playing bass in that band, Trent, who's the original drummer in AMW, we went to the same high school. He's a year younger than me.
Oh, Trent?
Trent.
Trent?
Yeah.
I don't know why I say it that way.
Because it's funny.
Trent?
But we played like baseball together. I think our dads are cousins. It was that kind of stuff. And he was jamming with some guys. I don't even remember the guitar player's name off the top of my head, but he had like the cheap BC Rich guitar. And I went to Trent's house one time. They were jamming. And he had like fucking stick gloves on, like wife beater.
Yeah.
Like real shitty kit. We're kids. And they start trying to play Master of Puppets. Like they get through their thing. I'm like, dude, let me check out your guitar. And he's got like a crate half stack and this. I grab his like shitty little BC Rich guitar. I'm like, dude, let's play Master of Puppets. Trent's like, okay. Count off, and we like get through the whole fucking song, you know, because I was like obsessed with Metallica at the time.
Nice.
I don't even know what happened to the other kid.
I
Just
swear
me
to
and
God.
Trent started jamming after
I
that.
swear to God, dude, if you start on Metallica,
Yeah.
and you can just make it through some of the like,
You can riff after that.
you'll get in bands.
Yep.
Just the simple fact you're a teenager,
Especially
just
back
the
then.
simple fact that you can play Master of Puppets at all.
Yep. It was
You'll
that.
get in a band.
It was that and Pantera.
Yeah.
If you could play some Pantera riffs and Metallica riffs, you were jamming with somebody.
I got away with just the Metallica because I wasn't a Pantera fan.
Oh, boo.
I know. Eat me alive. I get it. You know, I also don't like Slayer.
I was never a Slayer fan.
But I'm one of those weird dudes who likes both Metallica and Megadeth.
Yeah. Yep.
Like
Same.
that's supposed to be like no.
Right.
You either like Metallica or Megadeth, and I'm
I-
like no, I like both those bands, and they're like okay, so you must like Slayer and Pantera too. Then I'm like no, I hate both those bands, and they're like what? How do you feel about Slayer?
Just a couple of cool songs. I don't know.
Canceled. You're canceled. The metal community just canceled
Right.
both of us.
Right.
Me
I learned-
specifically.
I learned like 2 riffs because people were like, play some Slayer. And you just like play Rain and Blood. Right.
Right.
That one in Angel of Death. What's that one riff? It's
I don't know.
The
I
other
hate
Slayer
Slayer.
riff.
I don't know.
I don't hate him. I was just not a fan.
I'll tell you what though, there's a bunch of banging ass Pantera songs, and there is several. Well, no, that's not true. There's like 1 or 2 Pantera albums that I actually like. I just like Pantera as a whole.
Sure.
I'm just like, there's a couple in my playlist, though. I'm just not
Gotcha.
gonna fucking
They were like the first heavy band. Because like Metallica was Metallica.
right.
You know, it's thrash metal. And
You
then
know,
I was-
Metallica was heavier than Pantera at first. Pantera started off as
Oh,
like, a
like their
glam
80s
rock.
glam stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's still awesome, though. Like, dude, there's videos.
I'm so glad you know that.
Yeah, there's videos of Dimebag in like high school with his long hair and he's all sparkly and
Yeah.
just like shredding like Eddie Van Halen
I
stuff.
love it. It's so
It's so
great.
awesome.
It's so it's so cool to see him go from that to the Pantera we all know and love to
Yeah.
Hell Yeah. Like to
Right.
see Dimebag go through those 3, it's like, oh, he really was like a real musician. He could do it
Mhm.
all.
Yep.
He could do anything he wanted, and he chose Pantera.
Right.
That's like Matt. That's the most amount of respect I think you can get or give.
Yep.
Oh, you can do it all. Got it.
Yeah, they were like the first heavy band I really liked because I was into like Iron Maiden, like all the 80s stuff for sure.
The butt
Like,
rock
yeah,
stuff.
oh yeah.
Def Leppard.
Yeah.
and-
But
Did you ever get into classic rock?
probably more now than back then?
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. But back then, it was the heavy shit that was really motivating you.
Mm.
So where did you feel like you fit in when grunge came about? Did you fall in love with that, or did you rebel against grunge?
I loved Alice in Chains right away
Yeah,
and Soundgarden. That's about as deep as I went into grunge.
gotcha.
Not a Nirvana fan.
What about when the fucking ska movement hit?
I don't really remember a lot of it.
No Doubt.
I was probably into nu metal by then.
Oh, and then it wasn't just ska. It was like the alternative. Remember?
Yeah,
So you had
Green
like
Day,
Bush.
and Offspring.
Yeah, that
right.
shit.
Right.
You were out of place then, or did you start digging that music?
No, I was probably still Pantera, Metallica.
You're still a
Megadeth.
metal kid?
Yeah.
So when did you finally feel like there was music on the radio that you were into again? Was it nu metal, or did it not come until metalcore?
By the time nu metal was on the radio, I was kind of over the nu metal stuff.
Already?
Really. Yeah.
So you were like already on it when it was underground?
Yeah, I think so. Like 90s.
Because this is when we came into the scene, is starting to get into the nu metal
It
shit.
was even before that because I had my older brother. He was a skateboarder. He was
So when did you first come into the scene?
into the scene, like full on. I mean, that wouldn't have been till like aEstyria, technically. I mean, there was like a couple things before I met a few people.
Sure.
We played some shows, but yeah, that wouldn't have been till man 04, 05.
Okay,
probably.
that's kind of what I
But
thought.
I was,
yeah.
but I was playing. You know, you'd play in the cities
That was the
every couple years.
04 though was the height of the new metal era though. I mean, that's when Korn, Slipknot, Seven Dust, and all those types of bands, Static X, all
That's when
that
they
shit,
were really popular.
That's when they were at the most popular.
I remember my brother being obsessed with like Deftones, early 90s.
Yep.
And I was like 11 years old, and we didn't have a store to like go buy a CD. We didn't even have a Walmart in Pine. We had a Palmyra.
Oh, you know what? You're right, dude. It was Damage Plan. I keep saying Hell Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I
Hell
thought
Yeah
about
was
it when
the
you
other
said
band.
it, and then
Hell Yeah was the other band.
yeah, that's with like the singer of Mudvayne, right? Isn't that Hell Yeah?
Yeah, but I thought.
Hell Yeah.
Hold on. I swear to God, I thought Dime and Vinny were in that band.
Vinny.
Too. So that was after Dime died?
Right.
Got it. Okay.
Yep.
Got it. My bad. Sorry, guys. Damage Plan.
Well, like we didn't have a CD store, so I remember
Thanks, dude.
going with my brother when I was like 11 to go look for like the second Deftones record. I think we had to drive like an hour for him to go find it.
Really? He
Yeah.
was that obsessed.
I was like 11 or 12 years old.
That's cool though, man. That's a cool way to like get introduced, because I had a neighbor kid like that
Mhm.
was about 5 years older than me, like that. Very similar vibe. So that's
Yep.
cool, man.
And he was into like Black Sabbath.
yeah,
and, like,
he's
just
always showing you
cool
the
stuff.
coolest shit
Yep.
that none of your other classmates know about, because their older brothers are only a year or two older.
Right.
You got
Yep.
the 5
and
year old.
he was even friends with older guys than him. So
That's fucking cool, dude.
yeah,
So
because it was a small town. There was no record store. There was no internet.
so Pantera was the first big band that inspired you.
Yeah,
Truly inspired
Right.
you was Pantera.
Right.
And then probably Metallica, you mentioned. 'Cause
Yep.
You were a huge Metallica kid. What was like once that genre of music was no longer putting out bands.
Yep.
So we went through, like I just said, grunge, all that shit.
Right.
When was the next time a band smacked you in the mouth with that level of inspiration?
Soilwork.
Soilwork, no
Yep.
shit.
Yep.
Soilwork.
So I say Soilwork, but I had been like, I sort of knew of At the Gates before then.
Gotcha. I think the European
And it was
listeners.
like, oh, this like Swedish shit's cool.
We got a bunch of European listeners on
Nice.
audio, Germany and France and shit. I think they're gonna really like that, because
Yeah.
that basically, in case anybody's not super well versed, Soilwork, because not everybody wants to go look every fucking band up we're
Yeah.
talking about. So Soilwork is essentially responsible, almost directly responsible, for the entire Boston metalcore sound.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if you had to pick, like, for example, Black Sabbath is probably the most directly responsible band for heavy metal.
Yep.
Jimi Hendrix is probably most directly responsible for 80s metal, because that's how Eddie Van Halen took his inspiration, was from Jimmy, and then he took that and went, oh, I'm going to do my thing. And then all of 80s metal tried to come after and do what Eddie was doing. So, like, you look at any 80s butt rock, it goes to Eddie, but Eddie got his shit from... You see what I'm going?
Yep.
It would be Soilwork. Like,
Right.
if you had to pick, it would be Soilwork. Soilwork is responsible
even-
for Killswitch and every metalcore
For
band,
sure.
Shadows Fall,
Unearth,
fucking
all of them.
all of them.
But even Soilwork will be like fucking At the Gates.
Fair.
They'll say it. They'll say In Flames, At the Gates. Like Wickers.
In Flames would be another one.
Yep. The guitar
In
player.
Flames would be...
Soilwork's guitar player Peter Wickers. One of my favorite.
Ooh, you know what? You might actually be able to say... You actually might be able to make an argument that In Flames is more responsible than Soilwork.
Yeah.
In fact, yeah. It'd be
Soilwork-
those two bands.
I even agree. That's probably my favorite band of all time, as far as like, if I could have like the band that I wanted to be in.
Soilwork?
Yeah.
Still to this day.
Like that era of Soilwork. Like
Gotcha.
A Predator's Portrait and Natural Born Chaos. are
Oh,
like,
so you're saying if you
the-
could capture a sound.
yes. That
Gotcha.
would be it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely have thought about that. For me, it would be the Metallica and Justice for All. Like, if I could fucking replace Cliff, because Jason, he's good, but I could have done Jason's job.
Sure.
Yeah. That'd be a great band to be in. Coheed now, I would be in Coheed. There's so few bands where it's like they would do it enough for me on all the musical levels where I would like do that. Like, I'd love to drum for Coheed. I could drum for Coheed, like, skill wise.
Yeah.
I couldn't play any other instrument in Coheed.
Coheed and
There's no way I could play bass in Coheed.
I
That
think
dude's
I've
so
only
legit.
ever bought one album of Coheed.
They're probably my favorite current band.
And it was a really weird one.
They're all weird.
Yeah.
The whole thing's fucking
I know
weird,
they always have like stories. And
yeah, it goes with like a
you can
comic
do like
book.
a comic book or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and a novel. He wrote a fucking actual novel. That dude's insane. He's one of my favorite musicians. But you and I are both big Protest fans.
Yes, sir.
See, and that's what I thought you were gonna say when I asked what's the real last band. The Soilwork thing surprised me, but I get that and I appreciate that. But you're one of the few people that knew about Protest before everyone knew about Protest. And I remember you and I hanging out at the Rock, like, dude, I heard this band Protest. You're like, you know about Protest? I was like, yeah, dude, they're fucking awesome. Kazaya. And like,
yeah, it was
no
before
one knew
Fortress
about that
even
band.
came out.
Yeah, way before that, dude. No one knew who they were except
I think I had a
you and
burned
me.
copy
Yeah.
of Kazaya.
Yep. I had to get mine off the internet.
Right.
Yeah, because you couldn't buy it. There was nowhere. It wasn't in Best Buy or any major retailer. They're a fucking Canadian band.
Right.
I found it on not Napster, but what was the one we did after? Not LimeWire. Kazaa. That's what it was. It was fucking Kazaa. Yeah. Hell yeah, dude.
That's great.
It's also how I discovered Seven Dust, which led to me buying my first concert ticket and sneaking in as a fake 18-year-old.
I don't think I've ever bought a Seven Dust record, but I've seen them live 17 times. Never for them. They were just always playing everything I ever went to. It's like, oh, there's those guys again.
Dude, Protest the Hero. I remember you and I sitting down and talking about it because we were both starting new projects. And I was like, so what kind of singer are you looking for? Because I was still contemplating doing it again. Yeah. And you were like, well, if I could basically find the guy from Protest the Hero, I'd be set. I just remember chuckling. I was like, yeah, we'd all be set if we could just find that guy.
Just find a roadie. Right.
I mean, you got Wally.
Yep.
Wally's got sort of that sound, that higher register.
There was that band here like 10 years ago called Saturnalia. Do you remember them?
No.
I think they had like a violin player, like a keyboard dude. Just absolute shredders on guitar and a really good singer. And they sounded, I don't want to say they sounded like Protest because people hate that, but it was in that vein.
Yeah, I know
of bands. Yeah.
Did you ever get into The Fall of Troy? You should check them out. They're actually kind of amazing. Like, you got to be in the right mood for them.
Sure.
But that dude's got one of those super high voices. It's kind of all over the place music. But dude, they're kind of on some shit, dude.
Cool.
Like Fall of Troy is pretty cool. Not all of their albums have been created equal.
Sure.
Like one of them's gonna stand out to you.
Kind of most band if you're around long enough.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I just remember you and me being like the first dudes who knew about Protest the Hero. Like MySpace days level of like they had 500 fans or followers level,
right?
They
were still playing
2,000 or whatever.
They used to go crash like McDonald's parking lots and just set up and play and get arrested.
Yeah,
like
well, and then I remember I had just missed them, but the reason because the algorithms were already starting to work back then, so they came across my MySpace thing because I was into a couple bands that sort of were in their field. They were touring with a couple of those bands, and then they had just played like the night before at Station 4 on like a Wednesday night. And I know how that venue worked back then that's a $500 band. Mm-hmm. Like I remember As I Lay Dying played Station 4 for $500 on a Wednesday night. I opened for some fucking band I had never heard of, but apparently was huge. And $500 on a Wednesday night. Cold Storage, is that the name of them?
Cold Storage was Chris Coliani.
That's a local
from
band.
Stasia's old band.
It was a name like that, but it was a national band. And actually, I think they were like European or something.
Oh.
And we got them on a stop-off date. The booker did. And we were just lucky enough. Somebody called us and they were like, hey, man, you guys want to open? And of course, when we played, we were truly opening. There's 6 bands and no one was there. Mm-hmm. You know, we played at like 5:30 on a Wednesday night at Station 4.
Right. I think they have girlfriends, so they weren't even in the crowd.
I think my girlfriend was there. Maybe if I had one, she was probably there. So we had one person
the show
in the audience.
Sucks so bad they don't even want to go.
We had one person in the audience.
Right.
That's how many people we had. But yeah, and I think even by the time the headliner went on, there was like maybe still only 200, 250 people there. But Duder got his $500 back, for sure. And
Right.
it was cool. It was something it got pitched to us as like, look, it's not even the right bill for you, but it's a good name on your resume. And I was like, okay, cool, we'll do it. I don't think we got paid.
Played a lot of those shows. It's like you get offered the show, and it's like, well, it's a big band, I guess, but.
Yeah, I mean,
Like
back
why
then,
it doesn't even like why are we even not that you have to sound like the bands you're playing with, but there was some stuff was like why are we playing with Boba Flex?
yeah, it would be different. It would be different if you're like, I feel you, because it would be different if you're like playing direct support. So it's like, well, it's a big crowd. This is an opportunity for you to get a whole new group of fans that would never come to your show. So I'm going to put you on, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about like opening. So there's nobody there.
Yep.
Like, why are we doing this? Well, here's the thing is like, I'm smart enough to know that you need to build a resume. So you need to say that you opened for this band and we need to be able to prove it on paper. So boom, there's that.
Yep.
And number two, this will give you some really good experience on stage, like being around national bands where you can see how it's done. You can learn how to behave, what to do, what not to do, pay some more dues. It's part of the climb.
Right.
That's why you do
sometimes a lot more of what not to do.
Yeah.
Some of those guys were dicks.
Yeah. And for me, it was do not set once like the first time I was able to drink. I had actually already learned this lesson beforehand from my bass player who's like, do not set your water on the touring band's rig. That's a cardinal sin.
Oh, yeah.
Shit like that. Like it had never come up before because we had only done local shows and we were the opening band. So when we had, you know what I'm getting at, your gear's the only gear on stage.
You don't know the etiquette.
Yeah, exactly. You're ignorant.
Yep.
So these are all just great reasons why you take that Wednesday night gig for a national band you really have no business playing in front of, and it's an opening slot. You're not getting paid and there's no one there.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you do it, because there's still a lot of wisdom and lessons to be learned.
I was like more talking
and it'll make
about,
you a better musician and a better band, I think, too.
Yeah. I was more talking about like when it's a band that deserves a good opener and you're not the right fit, but like your buddy's band would fit better. Like we did a lot of that. I remember.
So was there still a crowd? So you're feeling like you didn't deserve the opportunity?
No, I don't mean that. Like,
or you're saying it was
if there was like
decision?
a tech death metal band, don't have us open. Have Reaping open. Like we'll take the next touring band that comes. That we would never open for Slayer. It wouldn't go well. You know what I mean? Like there's a notorious.
I do know what you mean, and this is a serious debate in the booking community.
Right.
And Joe Spanbauer had a philosophy that if you do it right, it'll work great. Like he used to book Banehinge with Ginger Jake.
Locally it worked amazing. We played with bands we shouldn't have, and it was awesome.
You can do it with national bands too, but it's risky, and you got to kind of know the flavor, because the logic is if there's crowds involved. Yep. The logic is, I know you're not a match. That's the point, because if I just book you with technical death metal fans, at some point in time, we need new fans. We need to get out of this, and like, hopefully we can find some chicks, right? Or like, okay, you're opening for this death metal band. You aren't death metal, but there's a lot of dudes whose girlfriends are at that show. So all the dudes are going to hate you, but the chicks are going to love you. And then what's going to happen is the chicks are going to drag those same dudes back out to the next show, but it's going to be to see your fucking band, and now you're going to get 2 tickets for the price of 1, even though you only have one person that's interested in your band. That's how good booking agents think. So, and I'm just trying to be positive. I'm just trying to look at a situation that happened a lot and go like, why would you do that? These are possible things. And I'm just spitballing off the top of my head.
I'm thinking of like situations that we kind of like, where it was a little weird, so we like worked it out to like fix it almost. Do you remember when like Adam D and Jesse from Killswitch had that other band, Times of Grace?
Yeah.
The one time they came through, we opened for them. The only reason
I think I was at that show.
The only reason we opened for them because Dan Copy got, I don't remember even who booked the show. But I remember talking to Dan about it. He was like, "Yeah, we were supposed to play this show, and we didn't fit." And Periphery was coming, so we took the Periphery show and like threw your guys' name in the hat. It's like fucking perfect. That makes way more sense.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's really.
That was more
cool.
Talking about that stuff. Like if there's an opportunity for like different bands to work together to fit the national bills better.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I guess I never really thought about it that way. Because I'm just thinking about it like, why would we have gotten thrown on those bills? Because it definitely wasn't shit like that.
Mm.
It was like somebody was telling me, because I had a booking agent, and he's like, no, you're going to play this show.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, cool, let's do it. Now, 20 years later, I'm like, yeah, why did we do that?
Right.
Oh, maybe it was X, Y, and Z?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm
Like,
just talking out of my ass. I don't fucking know what I'm talking about. Like,
right.
But these are the things I think of now. Like, because I do remember our band members rationalizing it with me, like, oh, yeah, we're doing that one. Like, yeah, who cares? It's Wednesday night. Like, we want to be able to put that band on our resume that we opened for them. I remember one of my band members saying that to me. I think that was my guitar player, Mark.
There are some of those other nationals where it'd be Wednesday, Thursday night at the Rock, and they had no ticket sales, so they just opened the door, hoping they'll make the money back from beer sales. Yeah. And we would draw more people than the national band did, but they walk away with $2,000 and we don't get paid.
Yeah.
Like, that's a show we should have never been on.
Unless it's for one of the 3 or 4 guys that I bailed out in those scenarios, and they go, I got you. And then when the next big band comes through, we get a direct support slot that we have no business being. And there's definitely bands that have worked harder and done it, but we bailed you out.
Right.
And so he's like, I owe you guys. So those other bands still get to be on the bill, but they're opening 1 and 2. We play direct support. Big band goes on. Like that. And that's not just my band. That happened. There was a lot of us that could do that. Like I remember several bands that I kind of learned from. I don't know if they want me to say their names, so I won't, but couple local bands, couple singers of a couple local bands that kind of like really taught me a lot about shit. And that's how they got a lot of their national shows, was basically favors, because they would bail some of these booking agents out with good crowds last minute or on bad dates, whatever. You know, they would take an L for the booker, and then the booker would fucking repay it threefold. And so, yeah, if those opportunities ever came up, once I knew what was going on, I still took them. But when I was so young, dude, I didn't know who these bands were. But, you know, Joe at the time, he's like, no, you need to do this. Like, I'm like, why, dude? It's a Wednesday night. Like, you just had us play a Friday night. Like, I thought we were
at the same club.
I thought we were just doing, I thought we were, you know, doing this other thing. And like Mark, I think it was Mark. He's like, no. There's different strategies going on here. You know, it's not just a linear path. You're kind of trying to almost build a nest, you know. And that's what your resume as a band kind of looks like once you're done, is like, look at what we've done. We've built this thing. Right. This thing where everybody can sit in it and live in it and appreciate it. It's a real, tangible, instead of just 4 assholes at the Enigma Center like we were when we first started.
Remember, like, was it called the Emporium in Elk River?
I never played that place, no. There was 4 of the shit clubs I had to play before I was allowed.
I don't think the Emporium was shit. I don't know if I ever played there either, but I remember going there for a show.
I actually loved doing that, though. Like, looking back, playing those really shitty clubs.
Yeah.
It was the best thing for me, because by the time I got in front of a good PA, I already knew what I was doing. Yeah. Like, those 4 shows, you got to work out a few kinks. Like, you got to understand. Like, I started jogging because I was like, man, like, it was really hard to make it through those first 2 shows. I'm glad there was only 12 people there. And yeah, you get to figure that shit out really fast.
Right.
It was that was a lot of fun, man. So you started this side project. Should we play a demo for people?
Yeah,
because you're still willing to get this going. Right. But you shifted from looking for 1 singer to possibly having 5 different singers.
Yeah, basically, like, if anybody hears it and they're like, oh, I could do something on that.
If you want a singer that can sing like late Lou Reed, I'm your guy. I'm your guy. I'm your guy. Should we play this?
Yeah, perfect time. I got to piss, too.
Perfect.
So.
All right. Let me put my cans. I believe it's this one. Should be. All right, this is a demo from your new project. Does it have a name?
If you look it up, it's called the Damascene Process.
The Damascene Process.
Yeah.
All right, I will put that in the description.
Perfect.
We kind of ran short on prep time, so I kind of half-assed.
If I remember the password to the Gmail, I'll respond to you if you email me.
No worries. You actually already emailed it to me. I remember that now. I'll copy it.
Oh, the name of it anyway. Yeah.
I'll get it all. I'll put it all in the description. You guys can check it out. But we're going to play this, and then we're going to, while we're doing this, throw some more questions in there. You guys, we can finally actually start getting to some of those. There is some more shit I got for you too. So if they don't have a ton of questions, I got some more questions for you. But here we go. What's the name of this tune?
There's never
a name.
It's song 1, I guess.
Let's name it before we play it.
Name it after you hear it. How about that?
No, we got to name it before. That makes it better. I got the name. You ready? Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, I needed you to say yes. You're like, the suspense was killing me. Jesus. Okay, I got the name. Truck stop hooker runs for president. That's what it's called.
I like it.
Truck stop hooker runs for president. It's so stupid.
We used to always.
It's so stupid.
We would always have like working song names.
Me too.
And stuff.
Because I never wanted to go, hey, let's play the one that goes like this.
Yeah.
So I had a list of fake song names. So when we would just start, I'd be like, this is called that. And they're like, where'd you come up with that one? I'd be like, it's on the board. And I'd cross it off.
I remember we were working on a song and Davin showed up late. He's like, dude, there's this fucking crazy accident on the side of whatever highway.
You got another one?
Yeah. And he's like, somebody might have died. So that was the name of that
Somebody
song.
might have died. Yeah, the tyrants.
Our song 5 was called Abraham because Abraham Lincoln's on the $5 bill. Dumb shit like Afterbirth Slurpee.
Oh, ours were
one.
worse than that.
Like,
we came up with ridiculous inside jokes and phrases.
Oh, yeah.
Way beforehand. And the list is actually still over there because I can't get it off that whiteboard. It's like burned in now.
Yep.
And the ones on top are real songs that were in our set, and the ones on the bottom are all like songs that we were working on. When we take the break, I'll fucking read them to you because they're insane. And today we'd be canceled for them. The Tyrants would be canceled today just by the names of our songs because they were all very, very not cool. So this one doesn't have a name, but we just named it. It's called Truck Stop Hooker Runs for President.
Perfect.
There's no vocals on this, and it is a demo, so don't be assholes about it.
Yeah, it's just levels up. There's no mix or nothing.
It's a demo, so don't be assholes.
Right.
But here we go. And then we're going to take a break. Throw your questions in there, and we'll be back in, what's this, like 3 minutes, 4 minutes?
I don't know. Knowing me, it's probably like 11.
I don't know.
out.
I love that. I love it. I did that on every single Tyrant song. I would wait. I'd like let it fade out, and then I would say something.
Like drop a stick or something.
I would always say something just to piss Kevin off.
Yeah.
Just to piss him off. Like at the end of one song, it was like, yeah, like because I was just pumped.
Right.
And then once I knew it pissed him off, because he got so mad at me. But John liked it. He was like, I think it's really cool, man. It's like really raw. You know, we're like a rock band. We're not leave it in. And then so the next one, I was like, what? 21 gigawatt? And he's like, God damn it, Jared.
Copyright. No.
Every song has
that's
one.
awesome. There's if you go back and listen to like obviously the Van Halen stuff, but Kiss, like Pantera, there's always like just little words they'll just leave it in.
Yep.
And then you don't think about it when you're a kid, but you go back now, it's like, the fuck are they talking about?
Yeah. I love it. I
all
think it's so
like
cool.
David Lee Roth's rants on their songs. That just happened in studio and they're like, print.
Ooh. That dude, I love David Lee Roth.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck what
He's a
anybody
crazy
says about
person,
him.
but it's awesome.
All right, so you said you got something else in there? What
Yeah.
else you got? This was the Minnetonka. I also wanted to ask you, dude, so you're not currently in a band, but how often are you practicing while you're not in a band while we're getting these ready? I'm going to grab a glass since they're
Sure.
good beers in tall cans.
They are good beers.
Good
And
beers
tall
in tall cans.
Right.
Like beers and boobies.
Right. Yeah. Actually, I think like archery has kind of taken quite a bit of the guitar practice time away. But when
So you're not practicing a lot.
not a lot, no.
How often are you practicing?
Whenever I pick one up, I suppose. And, like
How often is that?
Well,
James?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That was rude. I meant Jesse.
So like, it's not often, but when I do, it's like every day for weeks, and then it just stops for a while. That's what like.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I pick it up, it's hard to put back down
Right.
for sure. And then I want to play it again tomorrow, and then I want to record some, and then I write like songs, and then I record them, and then I come on your podcast.
so-
I'm like, I need a fucking singer.
So you write when you're inspired, and then you don't when you're not.
Right. I don't sit and like work on technique and stuff. Like I play
Gotcha.
guitar for so long, I'm like, I can sweep pick. Like I don't have to.
I need to work on that.
Just
I can't sweep.
I don't
for
have
shit.
to. I don't have to noodle. So I'll just sit and like play really simple melodies, and if I actually write something with it, I'll make it a little more complicated or whatever.
Right.
My wife will kill me for bringing these. This is her favorite beer. This is from Oliphant.
She's watching, and so is your mother, by the way.
Oh yeah, I don't doubt that.
Your mother's watching this.
Hi, Mom. So apparently, this is a blackberry, raspberry, and coconut sour ale called Super Squishy. I thought you would like that one.
Ooh,
This is actually really good though too.
Hold on, a fruit sour. Hold on, it does have the lactose in there. Oh, wait a minute. Please note, for optimal tasting experience, gently roll can on its side a few times. This is a smoothie. No one drinks these right. Or same thing. I talked about this to somebody on the podcast, and dude thought I was fucking crazy. And then the next guess, it was like it said in big bold print, "Roll on its side." So you want to roll these or do this?
Mhm.
Do you know this?
I don't. I do now.
Okay, because especially
I don't really like sours. So.
especially if this is her favorite. Okay, so why is because this is so thick. There's so much
Like
lactose.
sediment. And,
Yeah,
right.
that's basically exactly what's going on, and it actually separates. And the point is if you think this is good, the flavor is in the mash.
Mhm.
That's, I guess, the point. So yeah, you're supposed to actually. I store them in the fridge like that now, and then
Oh, sure.
plop them
That
down,
kind
and then dump them right away. But if you store them like that, this is fucking dope. You don't like this one at all.
I like it. I can.
You're just
drink
not one for sours.
one of them, and then like whatever.
Some of them are like that. Some of them you can only do one. Some of them will suck you in, and you'll have 4 of them, and you'll fucking have a 4-day hangover. What's this one?
That's a black ale, peanut butter and chocolate.
It's
really good.
So what do you want to do? You want to split both these? Or do you want me to pick one?
You just pick one. I'd say you go for that one. I think when Crandall was on, you guys were
Blackberry, raspberry, and coconut sour ale.
Yeah, I taste like wine and then kind of coconut at the end. I'm not like a connoisseur. So
Yeah, see, it thickens up there at the bottom. This one's not nearly as thick as I thought it was going to be. But if you do this right,
thick with 1C.
it won't, yeah, see, now there's chunks of shit falling out of it. Like the puree or whatever they used. Feel that. You can feel there's still shit in that can. You hear that?
Yep.
Oh, look at that. It's gonna be delicious. You want it all. There we go. Solid. So who makes this now?
Oliphant.
Oh, I've had these guys.
Yeah, it's in Stillwater.
I've had these guys before. These guys make good shit.
I've
And
never
what's this
been
one?
there. I know, like Brian at
Oh,
Hop
this
and
one's also
Barrel. He was canning their stuff for a while.
Yeah.
I don't know if he still does, but that's how I found it.
Cheers, mate. Thanks. I don't know why I called you mate. I've never said that before.
Mate.
Once in my entire life, I've never said cheers, mate. That's pretty good. It reminds me of something. Something my grandmother used to make. That was non-alcoholic. Something my grandmother used to make and give me as a child that had equally copious amounts of alcohol in it. This isn't that alcoholic either. I can taste it. Strong, but it's only 5%. Yeah, okay. Some of these fuckers are like 10, 12%.
Right.
Man, you got to be careful because they taste like juice. You drink 2 of them. They're in tall boys like that, and you are hammered. All right, Adam CD, he said we answered his questions. Dude, but you don't have to redact your questions, man, because other people will be watching this back, and they're going to be curious what you asked and the fact that we answered it. So you don't have to do that, man. Let's see what else. Oh, Amanda, what up? That's both of our ex-girlfriend. Didn't we both date her? She's married now. I'm married now. Are you married?
Yes.
We're all married now. But I think we both dated her. I think that's hilarious. What did she say? Coheed and Protest the Hero? Yeah. I don't know. I mean, they're awesome bands.
Right.
Those are like, that's my jam. You know what? She actually knew about Coheed before I did. Now that I think about this. Because I remember when her and I were dating, I was a young pup. And I wasn't even of age. Mm-hmm. So when I wasn't playing a show and I didn't know the booker or the door guy, I wasn't getting in. I was still technically not of age. I was over 18, but I wasn't 21. She was. I think I was like 20 and she was 22 or 23 or something like that. It's not trying to paint some weird fucking cradle robbing picture here. But she told me about how she seen them at, I think it was Station 4. And she was telling me about this guy, this big guy with this huge hair. And like he comes out and like she's just expecting this fucking one sound, and then this guy
comes
sings
out with this big high voice. Right?
And she might have even described it to me the other way. She's like, yeah, you listen to this and you'd like think this guy's going to be like this tiny little, and she's like, and just the juxtaposition, but I wasn't into it. I was like, I ain't into it. And, it was years and years and years later where they had a few albums out now, and I got like a steady dose of them all at once. And all of a sudden, like days later, I'm like, I still have these songs stuck in my head.
Right.
And I was like, I want to hear that song again. Because I can't, like, it was cool. I can't remember it.
Yeah.
But I remembered enough of it to even know who it was and what record it was. Like, literally, I
remember hearing, like,
that's how you know you're good.
Different versions of their songs, too. There'd be, like, live versions that sound completely different. Acoustic versions. There'd be, like, you don't want to call them, like, hip-hop remixes, but there'd be some DJ somewhere would remix one of their songs.
Do you remember what song it was that got you into it?
Into Coheed?
Yeah, and I want to go through a couple of these bands with you because I think this is just fun to do. But yeah, specifically Coheed because we're talking about them right now. Do you remember what song it was?
No.
Or what album it was? What about Protest?
Protest song, I don't know. It was kind of like all of Kazaya. It's like, I've never heard a band like this. It's metal, but it's like punk too.
It was
like super up, just blast beats like the whole
yeah,
time.
It fucked me up because it was like it was like, definitely more metal than anything that we were doing. Like they seemed heavier than us on that front, but it was also sing-songy and catchy.
Yep.
I was totally blown away, but it was
hit like my
Heretics and Killers for me was the one with the video with the Wizard of Oz monkeys.
Yep.
Great video, because that's the thing, is my introduction to that band was seeing that video. So like at the end you see them throwing down in those costumes, and it ended and I was like, what the fuck did I just watch? And immediately went to their page, became a fan of them.
Gotcha.
Who are some of the other bands we've talked about? Metallica, what was the first either album, because that's another one of those bands where it could just be a whole album.
Yeah, some of that all like kind of blends in together, because by the time we were paying attention to music, they already had like a bunch of albums out. So I don't really know. Because it was like whatever's on the radio,
stuck
I suppose.
Yeah, for me it was, again, a video, a music day on MTV. It was one, and I was just like,
the choppers and
I just like, when it gets done, and
for me it was like a riff. I remember Master Puppets, obviously.
Okay.
And like even through the A Moment Without stuff, when we do sound check and whatever, like my normal warm up stuff, like the first verse riff, because you're using all four fingers. It was like the best warm up riff of all time.
Yeah. Fuck yeah, it is.
Well, even like the main one, because you're just going up and down frets. And
I loved playing the soft section of that on acoustic guitars, because if you know how to play it properly, it is beautiful.
Right.
It doesn't sound great when you go up to that lead section, so you just play that first part before everything gets dramatic again. But what about Pantera? Because that was the first band. Was there a specific song that grabbed you? Or did it just grow on you because your older brother was already into it?
My older brother wasn't into Pantera. I have no idea how I found them.
So what the fuck was he into? The Dire Straits?
Actually, I probably found Pantera because of Beavis and Butthead.
Okay.
I loved Beavis and Butthead when I was way too young to be watching it.
This is all making way more sense now. Why you can't cite like moments? This is making way more sense now.
Yeah.
Beavis and Butthead. So it was just like a slow amalgamation of a lifestyle and a culture.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't one moment. It wasn't one event. It wasn't one band. It wasn't one song. It was just like thing. It was a slow burn where like you just kind of like realize one day you're like, man, this is just who I am. This is what I want to do. Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool. Because that's really the only way I've ever heard of it. It's either something like that where you just kind of look back and you're like, oh shit, this is who I am.
Yep.
Or you have your aha moment.
I remember not being able to even play guitar and like air guitaring and listening to Pantera, like Cowboys from Hell. And just like, how does he make these noises?
Earlier in the chat, your mom said that you were interested in music since you were born.
Well,
so I hope she's not irritated in my line of questioning. Is what I was trying to get at is when earlier, just to loop back for a second, is I was specifically getting to like, when did you know you wanted to be in a band? Because like, if you wanted to be in a band, I think it's almost obvious that you were always into music.
Yep.
It's when did the gear shift? Because everybody loves music.
Right.
Somebody asked me when I was a little kid, I was like, I want to be in a band. I was like 14. I'd already known by then. They were like, why? And I was like, well, I'm probably not going to get potentially injured like you could in football. I have a better chance. And everybody likes music. Not everybody likes football or baseball. Right. And because, again, I wanted like recognition. Like I wanted respect.
Look how fucking cool that guy is. I want to be like that guy.
Yeah. And it was because I saw James Hetfield. And I was like, oh, that's that's the guy. I seen him on the Black album tour. The way he looked back then, the way he stood, the whole thing, dude.
Right.
Like, it was just, and again, the Metallica 1 video, and it was like, oh, that's what I want to be like. And of course, once I found myself, I'm nothing like James Hetfield. Right. I'm an outspoken, loud, obnoxious goofball. I'm the opposite of James Hetfield. Yep. I'm also 6 foot even. He's like 6'12". That's 7 feet tall. He's like 6'8". And yeah, he's a quiet dude. We're not the same person. He would probably find me highly irritating.
You would never listen to any guitar, anything I ever wrote, and hear Dimebag either. But he was like the guy I wanted to.
Never, ever?
I don't think so. I don't think anything I write.
So you,
like my solos don't sound like Dimebag.
but I'm saying like even like your old shit when you were first starting out, because that's what we.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure I had like one finger riff that sounded just like Walk.
That's
I mean,
what
we
I'm getting.
kind of all did.
Well, and that's what I'm
then,
kind of
but-
getting at is because we talked about this earlier. There was two types of musicians even back then, and you know I kind of shifted from one to the other. Like you either start out trying to emulate, like so the first band I wrote all the music for there was nobody in it. It was just me, but I was like I already had a band, you know,
Yep.
and I was like trying to get other people to join it. We basically were a very shitty Metallica knockoff. And then the next band I wrote, it was like a little less Metallica and a little bit more of this, but it's still obvious it was
Yep.
two bands. And it just got more and more until I don't even know when I discovered and became my own sound. And I don't even know when I could clarify I developed all these opinions on any of this stuff. It just kind of, like you said, just kind of all of a sudden I'm
Happens.
like, yeah, I just like know what
Yep.
I like and I know what I want to do now. And like, I don't want to do that. That sounds like them. And I kind of developed that pretentious attitude.
So like between the
So you don't think you ever sounded like, because I definitely did. Like I could play you songs and you'd be like, oh, that sounds exactly like a shitty Metallica or a shitty Korn or a shitty this. That's really impressive. If you
no, that's not what I mean.
okay.
Because I had a band called when I was talking like me and Trent would get together when we were kids, and like I stole that dude's guitar and played Master of Puppets. Well, we ended up starting a band called Broken One.
Are you talking Trent from ATB?
No,
Okay.
no,
You're
it's
not a
drummer
backup.
in A Moment Without, the original drummer.
When you said guitar, it tripped me out for a second.
Gotcha.
That's what because I was like, I thought he was a drummer. I'm like, am I not listening again?
Right. Could be.
No, I'm
You're
listening.
like talking to yourself in your head.
Well, I'm just trying to get better at this, you know? And it's like, did I fucking stop listening again? Because I swear he said Trent was a drummer. Now he's stealing his guitar. Like, wait a minute. Did I miss something?
No. And that band was just like me and Trent would write stuff, and then we sort of had other guys that played with us.
Yeah.
We had a DJ for a while,
Nice.
but like, why?
I had a dude tell me one time, I told him I was in a band, and he goes, do you have a DJ? And I go, no. And he goes, why not? And I go, because they're stupid. We're more like a real metal band. I don't do that pussy shit.
Yep.
This was before I was in like a new metal band, right? And he's like, you'll never make it if you don't have a DJ. And I was like, that's stupid. And he's like, I'm telling you, it's the future.
Right.
5 years later, I'm in a new metal band and it comes up like, maybe we should get a DJ. And I'm still like, no, we're not doing a DJ because those had already started to fall out of grace. Like, that's so funny. I forgot about DJs and bands.
Yeah, the funny thing, the DJ.
There was a couple that did it really well, though, and that's why everybody tried it.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course.
Who was the best
can't
new
think
metal band with a DJ? Because locally, there was only one that did it even remotely well, and that was Nuisance Crew, which is now Nuisance.
Right.
And they did it very well, but there was nobody else that did it even remotely well. But nationally, was it Limp Bizkit? Maybe was it them?
Slipknot.
Did they have a real DJ? They
Sid.
did, didn't they?
Yeah.
They did.
Right.
You're totally right. I can't believe
311. Did they have a DJ?
they might have.
Right.
They might have.
Or it might have just been like put in. I don't know.
God, I don't know.
Right.
I have such.
Yeah,
I'm gonna sound
we
like
had
such
a
a dick.
DJ, and we were in high school, and like he didn't have any records, so I would like take records from my parents, and there was like a Chipmunks Christmas record. So it'd be like Elvin and the Chipmunks singing stuff, and we'd use that for intros, and then he'd be like scratching on that record during the songs. It's so stupid. But we'd play like I don't know, friends parties and stuff out at their farms, and then talent shows and whatever. I remember playing like this talent show, and it's my buddy Jay. I'm still friends with this guy to this day, Jason. He just wanted to be in the band. I'm like, well, I guess you can like buy turntables. I don't know.
Sure.
Like, you can't do anything else. He's so nervous at this talent show. He just kept saying, "Does anybody have any chapstick? Can I have some chapstick? Can I have some chapstick?"
He's so dehydrated.
Mouth is all dry.
His mouth is so dry. He can't even lick his lips.
We'll still say that to him now.
You should call him Chapstick. That's what would have happened if I was hanging out. His new name would have been Chappie. He'd have been the Chappie of the scene, not Chappie.
Lincoln Park.
I don't even think it's arguable. I think you're right. I think Linkin Park is definitely the most successful with the DJ.
Right. As far as like rock, doom metal, metal.
Yeah, it's hard to argue when we talk about success. Like record sales, concert tickets, those are easy metrics, right? I'm
like household name.
Yeah.
My mom knows who Linkin Park is.
Exactly, right? Metallica, perfect example.
Right.
Like what I mean when I say best is the very debatable relative definition
who
of
used
good.
It creatively.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, because there's always one band that did it.
Incubus is a good one too.
Yeah.
Actually.
There's
that was probably my favorite.
God, they were one of those bands that I didn't like until they sold out. I heard the song Drive and I was like, amazing.
Make Yourself was a great
amazing.
Album. Yep.
Oh, I love it. And then
everybody asked you to play it on acoustic at every fucking party you went to ever after that.
Yep. And I, of course I learned how to. And,
yep. Then everybody else sings and all you got to do is like play 3 chords.
The best one for that is Mr. Big, To Be With You. That's the best
Say It
one
Ain't
to play
So
at a
was
party.
good. People always wanted Weezer.
But by the time I got into Incubus, they were done. Like by the time I was like, God, these guys are fucking great.
Right.
It's like I would have loved to see this band in concert. The 1 million times they came through Minneapolis during their career, and now that I'm into them, they're dead.
So I'm in high school.
They're done. Sorry, not dead. That's.
I feel like they played like one of the snow cores or like I don't know.
Who is your favorite of the new metal, and then who's your? Because this is like when we were like really trying to come up and do our thing at first.
Mm-hmm.
Who's your favorite new metal band? You want me to go first?
No.
No.
See, I go back and forth because there are bands that like some people say are new metal and some people say they're not.
Your new metal, if there's anything resembling rapping in any way, shape, or form, whether you were screaming it or actually rapping it, you're new metal.
It's like simplified metal guitar riffs with hip hop influenced vocals is kind of how I always thought of new metal. Not that you have to like categorize anything, but when I was 16, I would have said Slipknot.
Okay.
Before that, Deftones.
Okay. Two very respectable.
Machine Head, but they kind of fall into the metal industrial. Same with Fear Factory, like sort of.
Not really new metal, no.
Right.
They kind of were doing their own thing, yeah.
But yeah, the bands I really, really, really got into, like Deftones and Slipknot, probably.
Yeah, for me it was Slipknot and Seven Dust.
Sure.
Those were the two. What about metalcore for you? Because some of those bands are still good to
probably
this day.
Killswitch.
Killswitch, yeah.
It's kind of your go-to.
I mean,
I loved the first.
They may not have started it. It may have been Shadows Fall that started it.
Hard to say, right?
But Killswitch put it on the map.
Yeah, Alive or Just Breathing was like, I found
it changed the game. It changed popular heavy music and what was going on the radio. It literally changed the industry.
Right. And by the time people knew who they were, they didn't even have their singer anymore.
Yeah.
They had Howard.
Yeah.
So you find this band, you're like, I fucking love this band. And then you go to look for it, you go see him live, and you're like, who the hell's that guy? Like, that's what happened to me. First time I seen him, I thought I don't even think End of Heartache was out yet. I was like, Howard's on stage. I'm like, who the fuck's that guy?
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. But I found them right after I was getting into soil work and stuff. I'm like, oh, this is like an American version of what they're doing over there in the motherland. Like,
yeah, because I didn't even know about how hardcore or what hardcore music was until
I still like never
metalcore. Metalcore introduced me to hardcore.
I was never into
like
hardcore.
I had to go 2 steps this way and to find hardcore, and then go backwards, and then come back. And like now, I'm fucking dude. Like it's crazy because as a drummer, I'm heavily influenced by hardcore drums. Like the breakdowns, those grooves, like, and I don't even play in a metal band on drums.
I
played in a fucking rock band on drums.
Like the hardcore bands or like the metalcore bands that are a little more
like actual like real hardcore, not like old school fucking not like old school Propane, but like that underground hardcore that inspired metalcore, but then the one that also inspired the whole ATB side of the Midwest hardcore,
right?
Like the bands that they were listening, like real hardcore, not Midwest hardcore, but I say real hardcore because it's like, again, like old school hardcore. People would go, "That's real hardcore," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's old school real hardcore. Like that's where it came from, obviously." But when I say real hardcore, it's like when hardcore got popular and started influencing other genres of music, like
Hatebreed,
metal group. No, I can't even fucking remember the names.
Is it like that era? Anyway?
No, I'm talking like,
because there's like Agnostic Front. I'm trying to think. I never got into hardcore, so I only know like the
and I definitely
the MTV hardcore bands.
And I definitely didn't become like a fan of hardcore bands. I'm saying the drumming influence, like, oh, I see what they're doing here, and I just started hearing these grooves. And then when I jump on drums, I approach it. And that's why some people like refer to us as punk rock, because hardcore actually came from punk rock.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, it's not like, I'm not a punk drummer. Don't fucking call me a punk drummer.
Right.
Because like if you're going to go that far back into origins of like what these roots are, I'm a hardcore drummer in a rock band. But it's such a stupid thing. But like, I don't know. There's fucking history and definitions there,
right?
And that's what I'm getting at is like Soilwork, In Flames. They influenced the Boston metalcore movement from that side of the fence, but then the where they got influenced through the hardcore side, the metalcore side of it, was this type of hardcore, and it wasn't. I'm not talking like the old New York fucking hardcore.
That's what I think of.
That's like real, true, old school origins of hardcore. I'm talking like the next wave, like the one that came, because their version of hardcore was like so close to punk rock, it's hard to tell the difference.
Yeah.
Like the only reason you knew the difference between hardcore and punk when we're talking about that old school is because they'd be like, well, fucking hardcore. Yep. Like New York hardcore. What was the name of that band? I want to say Fastball, but it's definitely not Fastball. Hardball? No. Something like that. Somebody's going to know.
Right.
Eat me alive in the comments on my lack of knowledge of hardcore bands. Knocked Loose, that sounds familiar. I can't say if that's one of the bands. Code Orange, that also sounds familiar.
Yeah, I don't know any.
But I don't know if those are. I don't know if those are just bands I heard of, or if those were the bands that I was at. Because I started getting into it, trying to just figure out what the fuck was going on with this Kill Switch Engage metalcore style of music and this new After the Burial shit that was happening locally. I was totally lost as a musician, coming from just straight edge, old school metal, Metallica,
riffs,
and then like it took me a while to figure out like what the hell was going on with this whole new metal thing, like, and so it was just part of my musical education. And every time these new genres of music came, I was just like completely like, what the fuck? Like, how do I even? Where do I fit in now?
Right.
I finally quit trying to fit in.
Oh, as soon as like the Swedish stuff came around, I kind of stopped.
Really?
Yeah. Not like get off my lawn. I'm that fucking old guy now. Yeah. But like, I don't know what's like the last band you were like super addicted to.
Coheed.
And I mean, they've been around for a very long time.
There's 3 bands that are currently still putting out music other than like your Metallicas, right?
Right.
And it's Misery Signals, Protest, and fucking Coheed.
Misery Signals, very Soilwork influenced.
Really?
Yeah, I think.
I wouldn't know. I can't tell you who the fuck they're influenced by. That's another
in
band.
The guitars. I just hear that they might not even like Soilwork.
When I heard that Controller album, I was like, oh my god, this is what I've been trying to write on guitar for so long. But I kept trying to change my style of what I was writing to fit these other genres and
Yep.
make it more palatable for the bands I was trying to be in. And I was like, okay, I don't need to do this anymore. And it's hilarious because now my project, people are like, I don't hear any Misery Signals, but trust me, it's there. It's like Misery Signals, Metallica, Coheed.
Do you ever get into This or the Apocalypse?
No, I've heard of them, but
they have
is that one I need to check out?
They have one album that I think you'd really like because you were playing some of your stuff before we started. And maybe it's just Dalton's lead playing or whatever. But
yeah, I was like, you're the Coheed, I'm the Misery Signals. The whole thing is supposed to be Coheed meets Misery Signals. And then once Jeremy starts singing, it sounds nothing like either of those bands. Yeah. But like that was the original foundation I wanted to build things from. And it's like, I'm the Misery Signals, you're the Coheed, and it works.
Yeah.
When I pitched this idea to people, they were like, that's a terrible idea. I was like, no, it's not. I hear it.
None of it's terrible.
I hear it in my head. And Dalton pulled it off, man. He's the shit. I'm so lucky. And both those guys, I'm honored to have both those guys jamming with me.
Like we were talking earlier and you brought up Dalton. I kept thinking and thinking and thinking.
Like you knew the name.
And then I was like, oh, he was in Johnny Wreck for a little while.
Yeah, for a cup of coffee.
Yeah, I think that's even what I said.
I think he said that. I think he said that on the podcast. Yeah, and then I was in Johnny Wreck for a cup of coffee.
Right.
Yeah, because it wasn't long. But they did do that album. They re-recorded... Or I don't know if they re-recorded, but they actually did that Nameless Ghost EP. I think they went to Nashville and recorded it.
Remember
right?
that.
Like this to tie back to what we were talking about earlier. Like they went to Nashville. I think they went to Nashville to record that album.
They were one of those local bands.
Dalton, if you're watching,
they were one of those local
Zach.
Local bands that I don't know any of those guys. I mean, I obviously met them. Like never played shows with them. Not friends with them. Probably friends with Zach on Facebook. Maybe not. Probably on MySpace though.
He was my first guest on the podcast of this version.
Right. I think when he worked at Copycats, I think we had one of our albums pressed there, and he was like our sales guy or whatever.
Nice.
But I never knew him, but he was like,
that's right.
Johnny Wreck was one of my favorite local bands.
They are definitely one of my favorite local bands. Huge. In fact, I always mention these other bands because they're bands that other people can quickly look up and recognize or they've heard of already. But Johnny Wreck, Zach's guitar playing specifically is a huge inspiration.
They had so many different. I don't remember any of their drummers' names because they had a bunch.
In fact, if you
whoever the guy was that would get super fucking hammered and just beat the shit out of his drum kit and fall over, it was awesome.
If you listen to the outro of this podcast, it's an excerpt from one random song I have. Mm-hmm. It is. I played it for fucking Zach, and I was like, I stole this riff from you, and he's like, I don't hear it. I don't hear which riff you stole, and I was like, no, the whole idea. I like. This is a riff you would have written.
Is it a weird tuning and like
no? It's just
staccato playing.
It's just the style. It's just the execution. It's like this is a Johnny Wreck riff. This is something that like would have been in.
Did you record it with an acoustic duct taped with humbuckers on it through a 5150?
Unfortunately,
dude, that was like the. I think the first time I seen them,
that was fucking cool.
Yeah, I think the first time I seen. Well,
my buddy, break that down and explain to people that don't know what you're talking about. We're talking about Zach Boyd's guitar rig.
Yeah, I don't know what he like. The last time I saw John, because they've like had like their farewell shows and then reunion shows, and they play for a while, and then a farewell show, and then a year later a reunion show. They've done that so many times. I don't remember because I know I even saw him playing electric a couple times.
Yeah,
back in the day, he had an acoustic guitar that was all cracked and fucked up. I think
Roadwear. Yep,
and he had like electric guitar pickups duct taped into the fucking hole.
I think he had it properly muted and the duct tape was for feedback, but
possibly.
Nonetheless.
Whatever. It was awesome.
Plugged into
a 5150 into
was it a 5150 or a Marshall?
It was a 5150 head into a Marshall 1960 cab.
That's right.
And I know it was a 1960 cab because he bought it from my buddy John. I just remember him doing
distortion either.
Like
clean tone.
Giant guitar spins with this big fucking acoustic guitar with duct tape all over
it. That band was amazing, dude. I loved that band. Yeah, Zach's been on the podcast twice now. In fact, Zach and Dalton were on the podcast together once. That was great. I'd like to get James on the podcast because he was probably one of my favorite singers.
Yep.
On the local or regional level, whatever you want to say they got to. That fucking, and again, that Nameless Ghost album. It's funny because when I talked to Zach about that, when I had him on the podcast, he's like, that is our least favorite album we did because we don't feel like it captures us. And I was like, it's the perfect you. I'm like, this is definitely the perfect version of you guys.
That's
I don't
funny.
know what you're talking about.
I know they like recently. I don't know. I think they recently put stuff.
Yeah, they are back
online.
together. By the way, they are back together.
I feel like I knew that. I don't know. I
They got
deleted
Ian,
Facebook off my phone a long time ago. And
they got
then-
Ian Combs playing guitar with him now.
Oh, nice.
The producer dude.
Yeah.
That does a lot of
Yep.
good work. A lot of really good work with a lot of bands.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just reading that comment. What
No,
were
you
saying?
wouldn't think that would be like one of my favorite local bands because they
God,
got metal
heavy.
attitude though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They're
Like, it's
rock.
not metal music, but it's
It's a
They're pretty
rock star.
fucking
It's a
metal.
rock star band filled with top tier musicians, writing great songs, and that's one of those things where it's like, honestly, man, Dalton and I have not really debated this, but we've kind of like philosophically discussed the value behind this of the ratio of getting real musicians to respect you and fans, non-musicians, to like you enough to buy your shit. That's the recipe to where you are no longer worried about a day job. You're a fucking musician now.
Yep.
Musicians respect you, so they'll be like, fuck yeah, those guys are good. And then fans will be like, I love that band.
right.
And everyone in between is like, yeah, they're good. Or they're just like, I don't like them. But nobody's like, they suck.
Right.
Unless it's a hater, and then everybody sucks to a hater. You know what I mean? Like, they're unpleasable people.
Right. Yeah, that's really hard to do. Definitely had those conversations with members and different bands and stuff too.
It's a tough balance.
Because
too.
I always got yelled at for being like the guitar player's guitar
too
player.
shreddy.
Can't you just write a song? Does it have to be about guitar?
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
That's the classic thing that's always, and I've done it too. Like, stop noodling. That's too many fucking notes. Stop. Just write the song. I've
See,
done
I
that
can
too.
actually see that from like the first EP to the second one. The first EP I wrote,
Are you talking aEstyria?
no, A Moment Without.
Moment Without, gotcha.
So the first EP, I kind of had a lot of those songs written while I was in aEstyria by myself in my apartment with headphones on, playing through a little practice amp.
Mhm.
Most of that album was written before I even had like the drummer. So
How
when
any
we
good album should be written. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, good guitar albums.
Fucking
And then when
drummers
we,
always
like-
getting in the way.
We had which interesting fact, Aaron Dahl from Emergent, that was
Great
actually
vocalist.
AMW's first vocalist.
How'd you fuck that one up?
We had like 2.5 songs, and he's like, I want to play shows, let's play covers. And it's like, well, I don't want to play covers
I'm
ever.
trying to get him on the podcast.
Yeah.
Apparently, he said he's willing to come on. I got his number. I've reached out a couple times. Aaron, if you're watching, dude, come on.
And then like a few other like whatever till we found Davin. And then making vocals fit over that guitar stuff that I wrote was weird. So like a lot of the leads got kind of like put to the side or whatever. Or like I listen to that stuff now. I'm really proud of that first EP, but I was definitely walking over the vocals a lot with like guitar melodies. It's like melodies are just fighting each other. And then by that second EP, it's like, oh, there's so much more room for vocals. And then when the guitar leads come in, it's like, fuck yeah.
It matters,
Yep.
right? Yeah, like they'll pick
That's
your
just
spot.
maturity in songwriting, I think.
I agree, and that's exactly the word I was going to use. That's a literal wisdom and maturity of songwriting where
Mhm.
you understand, and there's also just straight up rapport, because like you said, like, and I've been in that spot too, man, where you don't have the whole band, so you got two choices: you can either write riffs, or you can finish the songs, right, or keep writing the album. That's
Right.
that's one choice, or you can just stop and wait. So again, you do all of those first, but
Mhm.
then you're just done. So what a lot of us as guitar players do is we just keep writing the song, we keep writing the parts until it sounds like a full song. And unfortunately, then we find a vocalist who has to find his spots.
Yep.
Like that was me as a vocalist a lot joining a band, which is why I only really did it technically twice. And the first time I did it, they didn't have enough established. I was able to be like, no, we're starting over. Like, let's rewrite these songs together. The second time I did it was in Dying Euphoria, and they basically had an album done. Yeah. And they were like, no, we just need you to step in and do this. So it was very chaotic.
I feel like I've heard so many different versions of those songs with different singers.
Exactly.
At this point, like 3 or 4 different recordings.
Which in the end probably isn't even good for them either, right? Like, you want an identity.
I don't know if those are really out there, but I mean,
even locally though, like it doesn't help you build because you don't have an identity. You're switching singers too fast. There's too many records with too many voices. Nobody knows who you really are.
I mean, I don't know if they're out there like publicly or ever really were. I'm just like hanging out with Jason. He'd be like, oh yeah, here's like this song with Tad, and then there's Jared's version of it. And like, obviously I knew how Danny sounded doing it. And then you're Joe, and it's like, oh, that's what that song's supposed to sound like.
Right.
Like,
yeah, by the time Joe was on it, Jason and I were long gone out of that band.
Yep.
But it's still a very similar thing to where Jeremy, by the time he found Joe, and I'm kind of excited already for my next album being able to do this with Jeremy, is Jeremy Montoya versus Jeremy Blake with Joe Knox in Dying Euphoria, writing a song with a vocalist. So it's not just the maturity thing either. It's also having the ability to write with a vocalist. So you come up with just a basic riff, and he comes up with a vocal part that's so good, you don't suddenly feel compelled to fill it up with a bunch of busy bullshit. It's not... So yes, I agree. It's probably 70% musical maturity in songwriting, but then there's also that other variable, which is like, you have a fucking vocalist now. You can do it with him. You don't have to write this whole thing, because we have this fear as guitar. Tell me if I'm wrong. I don't want to speak for you. I don't want to speak for all guitar players, but I think most of us think this way. When our project isn't full and we're not playing out and we're not doing shit, guitar players specifically feel the need to write music. And so we will write riffs and or songs or entire albums. And like I said, without a vocalist, that shit, eventually we might even write vocal lines as guitar parts and say, fuck it, it's been too long, I'm putting out an instrumental album.
Right. Which, that track demo we played, I've thought about doing an instrumental.
Really?
It's like, I'll put like...
Didn't play the demo yet, did we?
Yeah.
Oh, did we?
Yep.
We did? Okay. Oh, that's right. That's right.
I was like, I'll put some like piano on it and just like
break.
tap a bunch of weird melody stuff, and good enough.
I did that once. I had this fucking... It sounds like shit, but I had this bitchin' song I had written, and it was cool, but there was something missing from it. Yeah, the vocals.
Right.
But
I love instrumental stuff.
I just said fuck it. I basically wrote a melody over the whole thing. That was,
some of the I'd probably say to like the last 4 years, most of what I've listened to is like instrumental guitar stuff.
Really?
Yeah. A lot of blues, actually.
I've had to switch genres.
Yep.
I've had to go find other music that gets me going. Like the newest group I found is a group called Dirty Loops. You ever listen to Dirty Loops? Man, they ain't metal at all, bro. There's nothing metal about them. And I don't love everything they do, but they've got a few bangers, and it's like, oh, that's the shit. That's the shit right there. It's kind of pretentious, but I don't know. Fucking 36 years old now, man. I'm almost 40 years old. I'm getting fucking bored with the same fucking shit. And then I've also gone the other way in time. So like I'm starting to get more and more into classic rock bands that I've known about and heard for, like, I'm starting to get into Jimi Hendrix again. Like, but it from a completely different perspective.
Right.
I listened to Jimi Hendrix a bunch as a kid. Fucking smoking weed. I'm a guitar player, man. I'm gonna be in a band. Fucking Jimi Hendrix.
It's sacrilege. I was never a Hendrix fan.
Really?
No.
I mean,
I liked Stevie
I don't think it's sacrilege, but
I liked Stevie Ray Vaughan playing Hendrix songs. I never liked Hendrix as a guitar player.
But you're also like, you don't smoke pot.
Sure.
Have you
Stevie
ever done
Ray Vaughan
mushrooms?
like plays his songs.
Have you ever
better
done
than he did,
mushrooms?
though. Yes.
Take some
But
mushrooms.
I don't think I listened to Hendrix at the time.
That's the point. This is my point. This is my point. Take some mushrooms. Take some mushrooms. And listen to some, like, treat it like a Pink Floyd album.
I was
Like,
just
you
going to say,
listen
I'd
to the
rather listen
album.
to Pink Floyd if I was on
Trust me, though,
mushrooms.
dude. Trust me, though, because it's not just the guitar playing. It's not just the songwriting. Like if you get on the hallucinogens,
Just the vibe.
because we're lucky enough, even though we're young compared to that generation, we're lucky that we have enough video and music, and we can kind of like understand the vibe that was going on back then, right? So when you take mushrooms and you put that record on headphones, that's the other thing, is do it on headphones. Don't just put it on the radio and sit in a room. Put it on headphones and fucking like really listen to it. Because like you hear the panning back and forth, and like you hear this crazy, you will have a, oh, I get it moment. And even if you don't become a fan, you'll go, I get it, and you'll like appreciate it and even respect it.
Mm-hmm.
And like
I'm not saying I don't do
you might
those
catch
now.
I know, and me
Right.
too. Me exactly. This is my point. Is I've always liked Hendrix. I've actually liked Hendrix, but I'm going back and going, oh, even when I liked it, I had no idea, because I'm such a more mature musician now. And in the last couple of years, I did some psilocybin CTE therapy, and I got my brain and my head back in a healthy spot. And through that process, obviously, I'm going to listen to some music. And yeah, I've had a lot of aha moments when it comes to classic rock musicians, all the way through really even the mid 90s, right before digitization and that type of recording came out.
Right.
Those guys were a different class of musician back then. Even through the 80s and early 90s. Like, man, I was watching some fucking Pearl Jam videos. I was watching some fucking Prince and Tom Petty Hall of Fame videos. I went on a binge down a rabbit hole watching rock and roll induction videos. On a humorous note, I get it, man. I'm trying to get Todd Fitzgerald to come on the podcast to tell me how much of an idiot I am.
I fucking love Todd.
For not understanding the greatness of Neil Young. But I'm telling you, man, I watched a bunch of Neil Young videos that night. And yeah, they're all in his late stages. But that Neil Young is a weird fucking guy, man. He is a weird fucking performer. And I'm telling you, when I watched the face that Jimmy Page made at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony, when Neil Young tried to bust into this solo, and Jimmy Page and fucking Robert Plant, I keep saying Jimmy Page. Robert Plant is also playing guitar. And fucking Robert Plant looks over at fucking Neil Young like, what are you doing? It's so hilarious. And like the way he's like jostling up and down, and it's like, I don't get it, man. That's the one guy I haven't had an epiphany moment for, because like, I don't get it.
Who's your like go-to classic rock band?
Oh, it depends on what kind of mood I'm in. It
Sure.
really does.
There's so many different.
Yeah, and because classic rock's so vague, but
Right.
probably
especially now, like 90s stuff.
But
is
gun to my
considered
head,
classic
Zeppelin. Gun to my head, oh my god, I'm gonna die. I got 3 seconds. Zeppelin, fine, Zeppelin. But really, it depends on what mood I'm in.
Gotcha.
I mean, it could be fucking Steve Miller Band. It could be Pink Floyd. It could be Hendrix.
I always put like Pink Floyd in their own category. I don't really call them classic rock.
Yeah,
They're
they don't
Pink
deserve
Floyd,
to
man.
be in classic rock, but they were in that time.
Yeah, but
Like I wouldn't put the Doors in there either.
I don't
but
like Doors.
But the Doors are, you have to put Doors
Right,
in classic
right.
rock.
I'm
even
just saying
though they
I don't
belong there.
put Floyd in there because they're like their own.
Yeah, they
category.
birthed.
David Gilmour is one of my favorite guitar players. Just like he could do more with one note than most guitar players can with the whole neck.
I was just talking about him last night with my buddy Foley on the phone.
Dude, his solo in Comfortably Numb, the second solo, like changes your life every time you hear it. It's crazy. I still get goosebumps hearing that solo.
It's so good that it's one of those solos. There's a few of these solos in the world where if you're in a cover band and you're stupid enough to even do this cover,
Don't cover Pink Floyd, please.
fair. Pink Floyd is also on one of those lists of don't cover them. Metallica, Michael Jackson, Pink Floyd. There's a very short list.
Yep.
Don't cover them.
Right.
Because it's never going to be good. You'll never do it justice.
Well,
But if you do Pink Floyd, right, there's a few songs where if you choose to do them, and Comfortably Numb is one of them.
Yep.
If you choose to do that solo, do not change a single note or bend. You're not better than David Gilmour. No matter who you are,
Right.
David Gilmour's better than you. And even he showed restraint in this solo.
That was what made
this
him
band.
who he was as a guitar player.
Exactly.
He was holding back,
He could
making
run.
you wait for that note,
He could outshred anybody.
and he didn't.
But he never did
Yeah.
because that wasn't what was right for that band. That goes back to what we were talking about earlier, like lecturing guitar players, you getting lectured, me lecturing
Right.
other guitar players. Write the song. Like there's too many notes.
Mhm.
Stop. Just like, and it's so
We
funny.
might be overthinking it though, because he might have just been like so fucked up on acid that he's like, I can only play these 6 notes.
maybe.
Never know. I don't know.
But I'll tell you this: when it came to like directing Dalton and like, because when he first jumped on, he's like, "Okay, I'll do it," but I don't really understand what you're looking for yet, you know. So when he's like giving me certain sections, I'm like, "Go more David Gilmour." Oh no, go more Kirk Hammett. Oh no, go more Coheed in this spot, you know. And then he'll just experiment until he writes something, and I'm like, "That's awesome. Keep that,
Yep.
whatever that is." That. So when you're that prolific that you're a type, like, oh no, like, you know, Slash is another one of those guitar players. Don't change a Slash solo. Don't do that. Any
Right.
of them. They're
Right.
all perfect. Mama, I'm Coming Home by Zakk Wylde is another one. If you're covering that song, don't change that solo. It's perfect. Don't
So,
do it. There's just
I'm gonna
a
have
few.
to like send you a link because there's some of the Dream Theater dudes and like Jeff Scott Soto. He was in Journey for a while.
Yeah.
When the original singer left, they have a band called Sons of Apollo.
Yeah, with the guitar player from Mr. Big on bass.
What's
What's
again?
his name? He's in a
Think of his
Paul
name.
Gilmore. Paul Paul. Is it
Oh.
Paul Gilmore?
No. The bass player is why can't I think of his
It's
name?
the guitar player from. It's the lead guitar player from Mr. Big.
Oh, Bumblefoot. Bumblefoot's a guitar player in Sons of Apollo.
No, he's the bass player in Sons of Apollo, but he was the guitar
Oh,
player in
I
Mr.
gotcha.
Big.
He's in the Winery Dogs too.
He's
bass
the lead
player
guitar
is-
player from Mr. Big. Something Paul Gilmore. I think it is. I think it's Paul Gilmore.
I don't know. That
It's
doesn't-
fucking me up though because we were just talking about David Gilmour. But
right.
it's either something Gilmore or it's Paul something.
Anybody,
I swear to God,
Anybody.
somebody's in here. Somebody's got to know.
But
By the way, yes. Thank you. That's exactly who I was. Oh shit, we're losing. Madball. So we were talking about the hardcore band I was talking about.
Right.
That's who I'm talking about. So that's not the band. That's not the type of hardcore that I was referring to. That's real grassroots, the origins. That's Madball. Thank you, brother.
Sure.
God, thank God for the listeners. See, this is why we do the live comments because you guys are basically my producers. Seriously, because I don't have a hey Jamie,
Right.
pull that up.
Right.
I don't get to pull that shit. But that's essentially what I was talking about. So like the origins of hardcore, that's actual real old school hardcore, Madball. That's not the shit that when I go, I'm a hardcore drummer.
Mhm.
That's not the guys I'm not talking about Madball. I'm not going old school.
Right.
I'm talking like that fucking second wave.
Yep.
Thank
But-
you, brother. Thank you.
Back to Sons of Apollo. They have
Dalton and what's his name at the same time.
they have
Keep going.
Billy Sheehan. Yeah,
Billy Sheehan.
Billy Sheehan.
Paul Gilbert. It's not Paul Gilmore. It's Paul Gilbert. That's who I'm talking about. It's Paul Gilbert. He was the lead guitar player for Mr. Big, and he's playing bass in that band. Paul Gilbert. The famous solo from "Be With You."
Right.
That's Paul Gilbert.
Anyways, Sons of
Sorry.
Apollo.
That's
have a-
his band too.
They
He's
have a
in that band.
live cover of "Comfortably Numb." That's amazing.
I heard that. It is. It's really good. It's actually really good.
Yep.
Didn't Skywind also do a bitchin' ass cover of?
I don't know.
Or no, they did The Wall, I think. Yeah. Skywind did The Wall. Local band. You
Yep.
remember Skywind?
Oh yeah,
They did The Wall.
Wally.
That is a very, very... You got balls if you're going to cover Pink Floyd.
Right.
And you better do it right. And when it comes to the solo, don't be an asshole. Don't change a single note. David Gilmour's one of those guys.
Yep.
Very few people on that list, man. Very, very few people on that
I don't
list.
know. I don't know who I wouldn't cover. Like me and Lions were we had a drummer for a while. And we were trying to do like this blues cover thing. We were playing like John Mayer stuff because his blues trio is great. And we'd do like Allman Brothers, and we were trying to do this cover. We never even like played a show, but we were trying to play some like Stevie Ray stuff. I'm like, I'm not just gonna jam this. Like I have to play this.
Right.
And we never ended up doing anything with it, but that's another one of those guys. Like I hear so many like cover bands try to play Texas Flood, or I mean you can name one, right? Don't cover Stevie.
Don't cover Metallica unless you're going to pick like one of the deep cuts that no one really knows except for the deepest of Metallica fans, and they're such a fan that you're playing the deep cut that they're not even offended that you're not Metallica doing it. Don't do a Metallica hit.
Did you ever hear the Trivium Metallica
Yeah,
covers?
don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah, even them. Stop.
Right.
If I'm Matt's friend, Matt Heafy, if I know Matt in real life, I'm like,
right.
Delete that. Right. I'm Lars Ulrich's dad in that moment. Yeah, dude, stop. Delete that. All the music is kind of good, but you're still not James. That's still not Lars. It's still overproduced. And as soon as those vocals go down, I'm going, delete that, bro. Don't do this. Don't do this. Michael Jackson is on that list, unless, again, like you pull like an Alien Ant Farm and you go with something that wasn't necessarily his biggest hit, has been forgotten about, because that no one really remembered that song until they brought it back, unless you were a real Jackson fan.
Yeah.
But even Michael Jackson fans were like, oh, I love this song. This is dope. This is cool.
Did you ever hear Chris Cornell's version of Billie Jean?
No.
It's super dark and bluesy. It's awesome.
Is that acoustic? Did he do it live?
It was live. I don't think it was acoustic. It was really dark and almost like
I might have seen
really
it.
moody, bluesy.
I might have seen it.
It's really cool. But I was always a huge Chris Cornell fan too.
I don't advise covering Guns N' Roses either.
Nobody can sing that.
Yeah, Sheryl
Name
Crow
somebody.
tried. Sheryl Crow tried. Yeah. Again, I would have been. If I'm her manager, I'm going. Don't delete that.
I guess like
don't put that out.
Avenged Sevenfold 10 years ago could have covered Guns N' Roses.
Maybe the right song. Sure. Yeah. Like you could get away with maybe Mr. Brownstone in the right spot. Right. The right group could possibly do it. But yeah, there's just certain bands. Just don't, dude. Just don't even fucking try, man. And then I think unless you're going to completely go a different direction, like if you're one of those, I've heard a lot of these really amazing covers where these girls will take a classic song, they'll deconstruct it down to its basic chord progressions, get it into a simple, very lo-fi keyboard part with very almost hypnotic style vocals, and they'll really drag the tempo way down, and it's awesome. Like some of my favorite songs that I would 5 years ago told you was blasphemy for covering, and I can't even think of one off the top of my head because I usually only hear them in like movies and TV shows.
Right.
You know what a great one is? That REM song.
Yeah.
I heard some girl do a really
like dark
deconstructive. She did a completely deconstructed version of that, but she was kind of like almost that. She obviously a female voice, so she's already in the soprano. But then she kind of did that like wispy. Dude, it was amazing, and it was like underlaid on something, some sort of either movie or TV show montage. I don't remember what it was. It could have been fucking Walking Dead for all I remember.
Right.
But it just was so cool that I was like, oh, okay. Like this is a completely different idea now. Like if you're going to do that, you can go after anything.
There was like a bunch of the metalcore bands that did like the 80s stuff. Obviously, Killswitch did the Holy Diver. And like
that was acceptable.
It was awesome.
That was acceptable.
I liked it.
That was acceptable.
Goofy dudes.
It wasn't better than the original, but it also wasn't worse. It was like when Pantera did Cat Scratch Fever.
Yeah.
It was like, this is
that
acceptable.
Kind of stuff is cool.
Yeah. Like
and
this one's cool.
It got way Well, I mean, Five Finger Death Punch has 11,000 of these fucking covers now.
Yeah, and it's not good.
No.
They
But
need to stop.
The
They need
only
to
good
delete
thing about
that.
Five Finger Death Punch playing covers is we don't have to listen to Five Finger Death Punch songs.
The best part of a Five Finger cover is I don't have to listen to a Five Finger original.
Yes.
That is a genius joke, dude. That is a brilliant joke, dude. There's not even any fat on that joke, dude.
It was like,
There's no fat on that.
had this joke a while ago that was like, I bought Nickelback's best of compilation disc. It was a CDR.
That one's pretty good. But dude, that fucking dude, that Five Finger joke is fucking fire, dude. Yeah.
Which that band pisses me off because I remember hearing, just like flipping on the radio.
Talking
being
about
like,
Five Finger?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being like, oh, there's a cool riff. Oh, there's like kind of a cool guitar solo. And then Dipshit comes in and tries to sing. Oh,
You know what pisses me off about them is the local story here from them. So the first time, I've told this a few times, I'll try to make it quick because I know guys don't like hearing the same stories over and over again. But again, guys, understand we always get new listeners. We're still growing, so not everybody's heard these stories. And I'm not going to ask people to go back and listen to 70 fucking episodes to hear every fucking story. They're fucking 3-hour longs. It's ridiculous. But Five Finger, first time they come through town, super cool. Bunch of us in the scene, not me specifically, but we're all hanging out back, on their tour bus. They're just rad dudes.
Right.
Second time they come through, they're still super cool. Like, we're exchanging numbers at this point. I do meet them at this point. We're all hanging out backstage. We're not on their tour bus anymore. They've kind of drawn that line. Understandable. It was a little risky in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Shows a little wisdom in growth on their part. Like, they learned their lesson from being on the road for a few years. You don't let everyone on your tour bus because shit goes missing and fucking shit shows up too.
Right.
Like, literal shit shows up in beds. Who took a dump on my pillow?
Right.
Those moments. But then, like, by the third time, we weren't allowed in the green room, our own green room that we were performing at.
Yep.
And then by the fourth time, we weren't even allowed past the gate backstage.
Yep.
Like, dude, my gear's back there. I have to, like, go set up my shit and get ready to play the show. And they're like, nope.
Yep.
And I'm like, dude, I have a pass. They're like, nope, Five Finger only. It just got, the bigger they got every time they came through town, the shittier they got to the local bands that they knew. It's not like
Right.
it was a different group of bands they had never heard of. Minneapolis isn't that big of a town. There's only a dozen bands that were ever able to open for them. We all opened for them.
Right.
We all knew them. We
Yep.
were all talking to them, hanging out, acted like buds, but they just slowly douched out on us over and over again. And yeah, between that and fucking monkey see, monkey do, I will not do what you tell me to. Fuck that guy and his fucking bullshit lyrics. Let the bodies hit the floor.
We played with those guys a couple times, I think. Drowning Pool.
Dalton asked, where's the Drowning Pool tribute band? No, hold on though. We were talking about other covers. I had one in mind that was bitchin'. Fuck, I totally just lost it. I had it for a second too. We're talking about the Pink Floyds.
Talking about the Dio cover.
Yep, you brought up Dio.
I actually have a Holy Diver tattoo. With Ronnie James Dio riding a tiger.
Dude, that's hilarious. That is so funny. That's amazing. I want to get some tattoos, dude. My first two tattoos are going to be extremely realistic nipples, one tattooed on each butt cheek.
Perfect.
Travis Doherty's going to do it, and then John Wheeler and I are going to film me running around Minneapolis mooning people and watching people get aroused and disgusted at the same time.
Wheeler. Screaming Monkey Boner Wheeler.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, him and I are going to start filming a bunch
Screaming
of...
Mechanical Brain.
Either one you want.
I know.
Either one you want. I got the official backstory for that, by the way. It was not because they got signed, let alone signed by Disney. That's all bullshit that somehow got made up in the local scene.
I had never even heard that.
No, they... I think he said they were afraid someone wouldn't let them on one tour, or someone was sketched out with their name for one tour, and that was it. And then they just left it.
Sure.
They just didn't give a fuck enough. Didn't matter. But yeah, all the local rumors that went around. Oh yeah, because they got signed, and fucking the label that they got signed by is owned by Disney, and Disney didn't like boner in the name, so they cheat. It's like, who made this shit?
If
It's
they
like
don't like the word boner, they weren't going to like that band.
It's like
either.
a huge, crazy version of the telephone game. The rumors that go around the local scene. It's
Right.
one of my favorite things about this podcast. We just put that shit to bed. Like what really happened.
Or you make more of it,
Yeah, like
whichever one you want to do.
yeah, like Jamal being the most racist bass player in Minnesota. Love you, buddy. We had some shit going about Dalton, but I forgot what it was. We made up a bunch of shit about Dalton. I totally forgot what it was. But JP, who's been on the podcast, it needs to be known, he's a Satan worshiping chronic masturbator. So
he likes to party.
I like to party. You guys got any more questions for us? We're coming up on we already hit 3 hours. Holy shit. We should wrap this up soon. He's got any more questions for us? Because the last section here, I want to talk to you about archery. I want to talk to you about how you got into all this.
Some treats for you, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I brought you some venison summer sausage.
No way.
This is gold in my house.
Oh my god, dude.
Yeah, you can probably smell it.
I can smell it through the fucking bag.
Right.
Dude, I'm going to eat most of that tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, no, I have pizza. My wife ordered pizza, so this will be my tomorrow snack and my reason that I skipped dinner.
It is delicious.
I bet. You killed this yourself?
I did.
Nice. So how'd you get into archery? Because I desperately want to get in. Was it like a Rogan thing? Like, where did it start?
That's not where it started. But that was like the peak that got me
the catalyst.
Yeah, basically. So like growing up,
so that's that whole scene, the Rogan campaign scene, kind of went from recreation to triggering you to going like, I want to be passionate about
it actually
this.
wasn't Cam though.
But no, that's why I said Rogan, the scene, that whole
right. So it was like growing up,
that whole group he's a part of.
My dad hunted, like my uncles and my grandpa, and they had the hunting cabin and everything. But I didn't really do any hunting for a long time.
Thank you, dude.
I think after like 30 years old, I was like, fuck, I should like hunt again. And I would talk to guys I work with, and they're like, oh, we don't really let new people come on our land and hunt. And
they were archers?
No, they were just gun hunters. Okay. I was like, I just want to like hunt again, like get my own meat. Sounds cool. I don't know.
Yeah.
Tired of buying shit. I like venison.
100%.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I just thought about it all the time, but when I was
you were also not affected by the pandemic whatsoever.
Not even a little bit.
That's the number one reason to do it, because everyone's like, you preppers are insane. That'll never happen. Well, it happened twice.
Right.
Once in Texas when the grid went down, and all year in 2020 when the pandemic.
I'm sure we'll get to that, but and then I just couldn't find anybody to like. My dad doesn't really hunt anymore. I don't really have any family that hunts anymore. Unless I went like to Florida for my one uncle that like lives to hunt, basically.
Right.
And then, it was probably on Rogan. I'm like, I followed Cam Hanes, but that was for like running. I like ran a couple marathons and stuff, and like Cam's just an animal.
Right.
And he talks about Goggins. Talks about bow hunting a lot, but he's not like he was never like a competitive archer or anything, like a competition guy, tournament archer or anything. And he had this guy on named John Dudley, who had a TV show years back called Knock On. And I heard him talking about archery and bow hunting. And when he was talking about doing like the setups on the bows and getting them to shoot right, and like the art or like almost the zen of shooting bow, like he's talking about it the same way I feel about guitar playing.
Yep.
It was like, I'm going to check out this guy's podcast. I go listen to his podcast, and it's like, at the time I was working on like remodeling this house, and I had like the whole bedroom down to the frame. And I just put his podcast on over and over and over, just like 12 hours a day for like 9 days straight listening to this guy's archery podcast, and he's just talking about how to build your own arrows, fletch your own arrows, and like set up your own bow and tune the bow and all the technical stuff. And it was exactly the way I think about guitar playing and setting up a guitar and like fucking with the dials. It was like so the way my brain works.
Right.
I didn't even own a bow yet.
That's
I felt like I already knew how to do it,
right.
which I fucking didn't at all, which I found out after I bought one.
Yeah.
So after that, like, go on eBay, and I think I bought a bow for like $300, and then it's like, oh, I gotta buy like a rest and arrow, all this other shit. It's like not cheap to do. I didn't want to go to an archery shop, so I just learned how to like do it all myself.
Right.
Set up the bow, make it fit myself.
How come you didn't want to go to a shop? You just don't want to be embarrassed to be the new guy?
That's kind of it. I like to do things myself, and like I like to know everything about everything.
Right.
Not just like, oh, I'm gonna like ride a motorcycle. No, I want to like know how this fucker works.
Right.
I think you get better at things when you know every detail about it.
Right.
So I just like really just got into more of the technical side of archery first. I didn't even know that I really was gonna hunt. And then like my wife's dad has property, and there's a lot of deer. I like to eat deer. So I hunted.
So do you ever travel? Like, do you ever do like the Rogan style, go to Idaho and fucking hit other parts of the country, go for elk versus deer, anything?
I have
like that?
not.
Not yet?
No.
I want to get into it, man. I think I am going to start with a rifle first, just so I can get good at hunting, and
Sure.
then add in, because I'm not worried about being able to shoot anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm
ethical and
I'm
moral
very
stuff.
good at shooting things.
Sure.
And whether I don't care if it's a fucking gun or it takes me 2 years to learn how to shoot an arrow, like I'm going to be able to shoot something. That's not my concern. I want to know, and it's not even the ethic and moral decision. I want to know how to track, how to stalk. I want to do all of that, and then not have to worry about adding in, can I kill this thing ethically? I know I can do that with a rifle. I already know I can do that. I'm a very good shot.
Right.
Let me learn this base skill set first, and then go from rifle to bow hunting. That's what I think I want to do, but I don't know. That's not really how you don't need to do that. That's just my own fucking neurosis, you know, deciding I want to do it this way.
The vast majority of people start with rifle.
Yeah, probably.
Because you don't have to get as close. You don't have to be quiet. You don't have to worry quite as much about the wind. Like all those things you're talking about that you want to learn, you don't have to worry about all of that as much.
Right.
If you're hunting with
a rifle.
But
You can get a nice cursory knowledge.
Yep.
Especially if
you'll only
hunting,
learn by doing it.
Especially if you're hunting in certain land. Like it's really nice. Like if you're always hunting in northern Minnesota, you know, and you have a certain territory you like to go to, or a buddy's got land, like in your situation.
Right.
It's really nice to kind of learn, just take a season, learn how things work, and then work on your skills. Like learn how to bow hunt over the summer. So by the time the next season comes around, maybe you're still not, but you got your rifle there, so you get the right fucking.
Yep.
You get the right shot. Fuck it, I'm taking the rifle.
Right.
And then maybe it's the next season you actually go, fuck it, no rifles even coming. We're going bow only.
Yeah. So
I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little bitch about it, but that's kind of how my
no,
my
I don't
brain
think
works.
so. I think like the thing I like about what you're saying is that like take your time to get into archery, because there's a lot of people that I think that bow hunt that have no business throwing an arrow at an animal.
Right, and that's kind of what I'm getting at. Like, I could be really good at shooting a fucking target, and if I don't know how to fucking properly track or even wait for the right kill shot, and that's what I'm really talking about. Like, no. That's
if you
not the
can't
shot.
hit a stop sign at 30 yards, you shouldn't be shooting at a deer.
Right.
Like it's kind of that simple.
And it's like, hey, you can hit that deer from here, but wait until it turns, because then you get a perfect kill shot versus a 90% chance. Like, you want to go for that hunter, because that 100% chance, because any ethical hunter, the idea is an instant kill. And if not an instant kill, that that animal moves no more than 10 yards from where you shot it.
With
Anything beyond that, it gets...
That's a little more like that's probably true more for rifle. With bow hunting, like with a rifle, you're more killing with like damage. With bow hunting, it's blood loss.
Yeah,
and hemorrhage.
But I hear these guys talk about when you go through the heart properly, that deer or elk feels zero pain. They only take about 3 or 4 steps. Maybe they jump once, and then they're basically done. Because when you hit that heart right, that blood drains out so fast.
Unless they know you're there.
Gotcha.
Yep.
If they know you're there, you can spook them, but then you don't get that perfect kill shot. And then they run for 100 yards.
Depends on distance.
Wounded and terrified.
There's so much. I haven't had anything bad happen yet. They say if you bow hunt long enough, it will happen.
Do you think the fear of the animal taints the meat like some people do?
I think any kind of stress, maybe. But
like the adrenaline, a lot of people make that argument. The adrenaline, the fear response.
I think that the people that say that are probably hunting more during like, if it's like elk, it's probably in September. They're in the rut. It's mating season. They're not eating well. They're running around. They're tired.
All they're trying to do is fuck.
It's just stress. I don't know that it has anything to do with them being hunted. And a whitetail, it's in November. That's about when gun season is. So the people that say like, oh, the bucks taste bad. They're stressed out, whatever. Like,
you think there might be some truth to that though?
Yeah, but I don't know that it has anything to do with like the hunting part of it. I think it's more like the time of year.
Interesting.
The general stress, the weather, like
the hormone levels, the environment, not necessarily the fear itself.
Right.
Interesting.
Huh. I haven't had any taste bad yet.
Do you ever worry about chronic wasting disease?
There's been a few cases in the county that I hunt in. Like, I would ask you, worry how? I don't worry about me
because it hasn't jumped to humans yet.
Correct. So I don't necessarily worry about that. I do worry about it like spreading
because it's not cool. Like
it's 100% fatal to any animal that gets it.
Yeah, it's bad. It's really horrific. Like
it'll wipe out an entire deer herd, and it's weird to be like a hunter. And that, like, oh, I want these animals to be around so I can kill them. Like that's not what I mean. Like
I know.
I actually like these animals.
There is an uncanny level of. There's 2 different types of hunters. There's sport hunters, and some of them even respect and appreciate what they're doing. You just don't always get it because you see movies of like poachers and trophy hunters and shit like that. A lot of that shit is misinterpreted because a lot of the trophy hunting, even in Africa, is paid for by people that, dude paid $100,000 to go kill that lion. But that lion was old. It was going to die soon. And it was causing problems because it was being challenged like for alphas.
A bunch of younger males
and then,
that are
more importantly, the funding from that $100,000 safari ticket went to go fund and protect actually more lions than that person's going to kill. So believe it or not, most of the preserves we have are funded by private hunters.
Correct.
It's super ironic.
Yep.
It's very ironic
because after. You're talking about Cecil.
Counterintuitive.
You're talking about Cecil the lion.
All of them, really.
But that was the big one. That was the dentist from Bloomington.
Yep.
For a few years after that, they didn't have any hunters go over there and pay that money to do the hunt. But they still killed the animals.
Yep.
They paid the government to go in and kill the animals that were a problem.
Yeah, it's hard to understand. And we do that as hunters. And that's what I was going with this is like as a local hunter, the hunters I grew up around, they have a tremendous amount of respect for the animals, the ecosystem, the death involved. Like, no, I've never heard a hunter ever be okay with an animal suffering. Like when you kill it quick, you kill it painless. You want to end that suffering as fast as possible.
I've seen some pretty fucked up videos and stuff, but I look for this stuff. I want to know like. So it's out there, but it's not common.
Jamal said, if you're gonna start rumors about me, just make them really good. That's all I ask. So apparently, Jamal being the most racist bass player in Minnesota is not good enough. That's what he's really saying. We gotta come harder in the paint with that. I don't know if I want to go harder than that, dude, because like it's kind of the point that it's not very believable.
Yeah,
if we go any harder than that, people are gonna think we're serious.
I've known Jamal for like 25 years, so if I say anything, it might actually be real.
Or you know what we should do? We know what we should do is we should start a rumor and try to convince people that he's a communist.
No,
that's what we need to do is get everyone to start telling and saying Jamal's a communist.
That's awesome.
He'll lose his goddamn mind.
Right.
Or he'll think it's hilarious like Bert thinks it's funny.
He's actually being paid by anti-2A groups to be like the psycho.
Jamal's actually running an Antifa group. That's what none of you know.
Yeah.
Dude, I want
to... So the funniest thing about Jamal, not really the funniest, but I don't know why it popped in my head. When we were in Aestyria, everybody would call Jamal Jerry. And everybody would call Jerry Jamal.
Yeah. We talked about that. I don't remember who it was with. Somebody brought that up, and they were accused of being racist.
Yeah, Jamal's a black guy, right?
Well, they'd walk up and they'd be like, "Hey, Jamal," and be like, "I'm not Jamal." I think I did that too.
Probably.
Like, Jamal ain't no white dude's name. Come on, we all fucking know that. We all know that. No, Amanda, we're not starting good rumors. Bassists are all apparently good with it. We're not doing that. No, these are all horrible rumors that aren't true. Like, for example, my wife is fake. That's one that's been going around for a while because all my guests come in and my wife disappears.
I seen her.
People don't think she's real. Jeremy made the best joke. They're like, he was on the special, and he's like, she's real. She just always looks really surprised. I was dying. That was probably the best joke. Yeah, there's a bunch of fucking rumors we're trying to get started. It's not working so far. None of them have caught on. Eventually, someday, one of them's gonna stick, and it's gonna be great. You got anything else you want to talk about, buddy? Because I do want to get serious about archery, and I want to have you back on so we can talk more about some more shit. Because obviously, 3 hours, we didn't get to everything. There's a bunch more shit I wanted to talk to you about. But
I got one more thing for you, though.
Yeah.
Actually, two.
Two more things?
So we bought a half a pig, and I rendered down all the fat.
Is that the lard?
Into lard.
Dude.
So I got so many of those things.
This is like actual, basically, bacon grease, if you think about it.
But it's not like smoked or cured or anything.
Yeah.
It's just
real lard.
Fat.
Holy shit, dude.
Yep. That's old school. Fry eggs in that. You can fry steak in that. Whatever you want to do.
Oh,
anything you use butter for, use that.
I'm going to make a steak in this.
You need to.
You ever when you make a nice fat fucking ribeye or even just a strip, like a nice fucking thick New York strip, when it's perfectly cooked and seared and everything, melt blue cheese on the top of that motherfucker? You ever do that?
I do. That's more of my wife's thing. I do like a rum butter sauce.
A rum butter sauce. Yeah. Ooh. Here's what I want to do. I want to come up to your spot. I want to hang out. I'm going to learn how to hunt on my own. Don't worry about that. By the time I come up, it'll probably be either next hunting season or the hunting after. Mm-hmm. But I think we should make some content, dude. I think it'd be fucking cool as hell. And then we'll fucking figure out a way to set up a couple guitar amps and we'll fucking do some noodling. Just a couple practice amps, nothing major. And we'll just fucking hang out, dude. And we'll fucking drink some whiskey and play some guitar and shoot some... I'll shoot guns, you shoot arrows.
Right.
We can't
I'll shoot guns too. That's
we can't
fine.
hunt anywhere near each other though, can we? If I have a gun and you have an arrow, we're nowhere near each other while we're hunting.
Well, in Wisconsin, I can bow hunt during rifle season.
Can you? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
we're still not going to be near each other.
It wouldn't make sense, really.
We wouldn't be anywhere near each other.
No.
Because you'd have to basically wait till a deer walked up below us, and I'd be able to shoot one in the field. So maybe we could.
Yeah.
But as soon as I shoot that deer in the field, that spot's basically fucked. There ain't no deer coming back.
The day's over.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you'll need help moving that big fucker, too.
That's why I want to start working out. Is because I do want to start hunting. And, like, that's the thing is, like, we do live in Minnesota. We are in Wisconsin. We do have cougars. We do have bears. Like, they're rare, but they do happen.
Yep.
We do have wolves. I don't want to be caught in the middle of a fucking field trying to haul out a quarter of a deer on my back in 8 inches of snow with a wolf coming down on me.
Yep.
Like, I'm not trying to do it. And
You have to go pretty far north for wolves, but I get bear.
you'd be
and-
surprised, man.
I get bear and coyotes on cameras all the time.
Dude, you'd be fucking surprised how far down they come. You really would, dude. Like, they're spotted in the suburbs. Like, it's not
Right.
Like I said, they're rare, but it does happen.
Yep.
But I'm not even that worried about being attacked because, come on, this isn't like you just said. This isn't the Yukon. You know what I mean?
And
It's still Minnesota. They're pretty smart, but
they're
they
not
will
hungry
come back.
either.
But they will come back and take your fucking kill before you get back to it. Because
Yep.
most of us ain't hauling out the whole thing in one.
A lot of that happens in the West, though.
You're making trips.
But, yeah. Well,
I've heard about it happening
You're
here
like-
plenty.
you don't take too many trips with whitetail. I mean, unless you kill a big buck
Yeah.
like that. The buck I shot last year was 250 plus pounds.
You got it out in one or two.
Well, I got him to where he wasn't. I was able to move him a little bit so I could get the side by side to pull him out.
Okay.
Because that wasn't happening.
Right. Yeah. See, you got a little lucky there. That's
Yeah.
what I'm talking about.
But yeah, if you're in the mountains in like Montana or Utah,
I've even heard it in northern Minnesota, man. Like,
Yeah,
you're just
well,
stuck
there's-
in a fucking spot. You know, you got
Yep.
yourself in deep. You found a fucking great spot. You got a good kill, and it's
Right.
just not economical to get out of there. So you got to make 2-3 trips, you know, because sometimes you got to go up or down or over.
right?
Or
I've been
across.
lucky enough where I'll hunt on public land.
Maybe I'm
just-
also just kind of psyching myself out. Probably getting a little fucking over prepared.
Well, if you want that experience, fucking go for it. It sounds epic. I've never done it. But
Yeah,
I hunt on public
I
land,
gotta
but
start
it's only
working out.
like 1,300 acres, something like that,
I see what you're
for
saying.
public. Otherwise, like, I have permission on like 20 acre, 80 acre. I keep thinking about I like just driving around. I'm like, I should go talk to that farmer. I should go talk to that farmer. Like, it's got this crazy land. I see all the animals. It's like, man, it looks awesome.
That's awesome, dude. So you bought a pig and slaughtered it, or you're raising pigs?
No, it's friend of my wife's family raises pigs,
Oh, okay.
so we bought half a pig.
Oh, okay. So it was already gotcha, and then you rendered down the fat.
Yep.
Gotcha. That's
Yep.
pretty dope.
And then,
All right, you said you got one more for me.
yeah, I actually sent you the video. We don't have to play it though, but
Oh, is this from the kill?
no. So like in the spring, like turkey hunting's coming up soon,
Yeah.
and like deer drop their antlers
Yeah.
like January, February, something
Yeah,
like that.
for sure.
And I always go out and look for like shed antlers in the spring. And this year, I found a shed, and I was like, I think I know that deer. So I start looking through pictures and videos from like last summer.
No way.
And I have this video that I sent you of this deer like coming right under my stand.
I have the clip right here.
Yeah,
Let's
you can
play
go ahead
real
and play
quick.
it.
Let's play it real quick because I have it loaded up. Media player. Let's turn this off, and it should be this one. Hold on. Let's go back to this cam. And then, God damn it, I gotta rearrange this fucking thing. I'm such an idiot. About
maybe
this.
maybe label something
Well, they are labeled,
know.
but the way I organize it is just
shitty.
moronic. Like, I thought I was so clever. Here we go. This should work.
So it's just like 11 yard little buck. He's like probably 2.5 years old.
But you recognize his antlers?
I recognize his antlers because I found one.
No fucking way.
That's from that deer.
That's so cool, dude. Holy shit.
So I figure if you want a bunch of weird shit on your table here, you can have that.
That's awesome. I'm leaving this right on the table.
So he's just now. If he's a big giant deer in a couple years and I kill him, I'm coming back for this. But watch here. I got video of this deer pooping on camera.
he did. He just dropped one. It almost looked like
And
he
you
sneezed.
have his shed now.
It almost looked like he sneezed. Like he took a little sneeze and a little
I have,
dump
like,
out.
So many videos of deer like that. So whenever I find a shed, I'm like, oh, I wonder if I got pictures. So I'll go
Dude,
look,
that's
and I'll
so
find 'em.
funny. He did. It looked like he sneezed, like, and a little poop came out. Dude, this is really cool. Thank you, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if I can turn this into something. Like if I can get somebody to build something around this. So whether it's like,
We have a
here, because I got this thing. Hold on.
I have some other sheds that I just put around like a salt rock lamp thing. I bet they'd fit it right in there. Kind of metal, kind of redneck. I like it.
That's pretty cool looking. I can
Ain't
kind of
bad.
just put that wherever.
It ain't bad. Yeah, two years ago, I found a shed.
Thanks, dude. That's really fucking cool.
Hell yeah!
man.
2 years ago, I found a shed a little bigger than this. It's like, oh, that's a cool deer. Never didn't think anything of it. And then this last fall, shot a big, really old deer. Like he was so old, one side of his antler was starting to like get smaller and smaller. And then
That's cool, dude.
so his like skull and antlers are on the wall, and I was looking at it one day, and then the shed was sitting there kind of next to it. I was like, no fucking way. I grabbed the shed off the top of the kitchen counter. I went and held it up to the skull. I was like, this is the shed 2 years ago to the buck that I shot this year.
That's so crazy, dude.
Yeah.
What are the odds?
Found it
of
on
that?
the same. Well, it's actually pretty common.
Really?
If you go out and look for them.
But what are the odds that I don't know if it's
That
odds.
one was weird. I
How
was like,
how crazy that you recognized it
Yeah.
though.
well, if you go back, like you don't have to now.
If you do it enough, you can recognize
if you go
bucks
back,
by their antlers.
oh yeah, it's all genetic. They'll grow the same way every year. It'll just get bigger or more points, whatever. But if you go look at that video, like this is very, you can just tell it's him, and then just
Gotcha.
like this little curve here.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So there's almost like little signatures, little
Yep.
fingerprints.
Yep.
That's what you mean by it's in their DNA. So you'll see like this little weird. You can't really see this on camera probably, but like
Right.
there's these weird little humps. Like it's almost like the way somebody's fingers sit.
Yeah.
Like, but they just get bigger, and
Mhm.
so like or
And they'll-
longer, or extra points.
So
or whatever.
next year he'll look just like this. This will probably be the same. His G2 will be a little longer. This one will be a lot longer. He might grow like a crab claw off of here
Gotcha.
if he doesn't get hurt or whatever. That's generally what it looks like. He's a pretty small deer, but in a couple of years he could be.
I mean, that's already
Nice.
4 points, right?
Yeah, he'd be an 8-pointer for sure. That's really tall eye guard.
That's crazy. That's so cool, though, dude.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love how it looks. All right, we got to do one thing before we leave. Since you brought me all these gifts, we got to do a little something.
Oh snap!
We're going to drink a little bit of the Hibiki, the Centuri Hibiki whiskey. This is not necessarily super expensive whiskey, but I think
Dude, I like Jameson. So
honestly, man, I mean, it's like, you know, it's $70 to $100 depending on where you buy it.
Sure.
Like it's not the most expensive, but
Yeah.
it can be expensive if you go to the wrong place. And these are all the same places in town. But literally, you can get this for like $72, but you can pay as much as like 105.
Yeah.
But all I'm saying is, man, it is one of the fucking smoothest, nicest whiskeys. I actually like it, and
Mhm.
I've never really liked whiskey before.
gotcha. If it's not in a plastic bottle, I like it. Generally, if it's whiskey,
And I don't
unless
drink
it's
a
like
lot of
weird
this shit.
honey stuff or.
I really don't drink a lot of this shit. It's just like a little splash, little fucking toast.
You had Lions on the other day, and him and I have sipped a little bit of whiskey until way too late many times.
Those two did. They were drinking Jack. I knew better than to dip into the Jack because I was drinking fucking IPAs.
Right.
But cheers, buddy.
You bet.
I think you'll like this. I can't do that. I can't fucking do that shit. I don't know how you fucking slam that shit like that. Oof. I'm a little baby bitch when it comes to the whiskey. I'm a sipper. And that's why I don't like regular whiskey. Because, like, regular whiskey, like, fucking, it's not good to sip. Like, you shoot it. You fucking, you do shit. This shit, I'm like, oh, I can actually sip this like some old man
Enjoy
sitting
it
in his
a
chair after a long day at the office.
Yeah.
Overlooking the scenery.
Do you remember when venues were like that or bars? You'd go into them. I remember. Oh, it was one of my favorite things was to go get like a glass of whiskey on ice, light up a cigar, and play a couple games of pool in a smoky, hazy, dirty bar, and just listen to blues. You can't do that anymore.
Check this out. So, 2-3 years ago. Actually, it was probably 4 or 5 years ago now, because my wife and I weren't married yet. We weren't even engaged yet. But I'm going down to North Carolina to meet her parents and her sister for the first time. I forget it's tobacco country. So you can smoke wherever you want. But I don't realize this, right? Because, like, the only places you can't smoke are obvious places, big commercial establishments. So you're still not smoking in Best Buy. You know what I mean? You're still not smoking, but you are smoking in the airports.
You couldn't really do that before any of the
But you're not
anyway.
smoking in your hotel, right? So when I first get there, I'm still like my normal person.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we walk into this fucking bar to watch a football game, because we always end up showing up around her birthday, and there's always football. Playoff football.
Mm-hmm.
So she's such a sweetheart. She brings me to some sports bar where we can order nachos and shitty food, and I can have a few beers, and we walk in and I sit down, and all of a sudden this guy sits down next to us, and we're sitting there. I have a beer. I even go outside and have a cigarette. I come back in, and all of a sudden some guy sits down next to me and just lights up a cigarette. And all of a sudden I'm like, you can smoke in here? And everyone's like, yeah, dude. And I'm like,
this is America.
This place is awesome. And I just immediately fucking, dude, we go back year after year after year. All of a sudden, the last time we're there, we get to Atlanta. And for the first time, you can't smoke in the Atlanta airport anymore. I'm like, what the fuck? Okay, fine, fuck it. I'll deal with this. Can't wait to get to North Carolina. I'm looking forward to that sports bar. Can't wait for the AFC Championship game. Or actually, I think it was the UFC fight or something. We get there, no smoking.
Fucking
they
commies.
just passed. So everything you were just talking about, that all of that shit, dude, was still going on. And like, because that first time we went, it was dead. Since then, up until this last time, we would go to other places and they'd be fucking packed, dude. It'd be cool, man. It was exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, that shit.
There's like something romantic about it.
It was cool, man.
Yeah,
you could do everything you wanted right there.
I just remember going to like the famous Dave's in Uptown. They would have like blues bands every Sunday morning. They would have a brunch with blues bands. It would just be hazy and dark, and you'd eaten like ribs and scrambled eggs. It's like, this is smoking cigarettes. Like, this is awesome. I haven't smoked in a couple of years at this point, but
when shit comes back,
I would smoke if they let me.
Do you remember?
Maybe. Probably not.
When you lived in town and you were in the scene, did you ever do the breakfast and bloody bar at Spring Street?
Of course. The fucking burrito is this big, dude.
Oh my God, dude. Next time you're in town, we got to figure out a way. Come in town. Whether you get a hotel, we got a guest room, whatever.
Right.
Fucking come in town. When shit comes back, like we'll go out, we'll see a couple shows, like we'll go out for dinner or whatever. And then one of these nights we're going to fucking tie one on, get hammered, and we're going to Spring Street for breakfast in that Bloody Mary bar, dude, because still to this day it is one of the best joints in all of Minneapolis.
Dude, the Triple Rock was pretty good for breakfast.
I miss that place.
Yeah.
I miss it.
Even like the whiskey would do a really good brunch.
It's true.
We used to we had the practice space we had was down like just off a lake. What the hell is that on 27th and like Track Studios by the Hexagon in South.
Profile?
No, it was called Tracks Studios. Epicurean was there for a long time. Samsara was in there. Kuntosh. And I was in there in aEstyria and then in A Moment Without.
Gotcha.
But yeah, we would always Sunday morning band practice. Always. After band practice, we're going to Memory Lanes for food, or we went to the Whiskey for brunch. And then Spring Street, if like you go to Triple Rock and they're like, it's going to be like 2.5 hours. You're like, fuck. I guess we're going to.
Did the Triple Rock do the pancake breakfast? Is that them?
I just remember
one of them did a pancake breakfast that was like notoriously badass.
Yeah, I just remember the burritos.
That's Spring Street.
Yep.
Still to this day, they got a badass breakfast burrito. All their food's good at Spring Street. That's why I love Spring Street. And they still do good portions too. They haven't gone all fucking asshole and giving you like.
What the hell did they call the fucking venue underneath?
Club Underground.
Yeah. I couldn't remember what it was called.
That's one of like I still call that a punk rock club, even though it's not. They do all types, but it's got the look and the vibe of a 1980s punk rock club.
Yep, and the sound system.
Depends on who runs sound, but yeah. Josh does a good job. There's other people that have been in that room that have made my band sound like trash.
10 years, so.
Yeah, we did a show there one night. The sound was so bad that one of our fans, literally, who's a really good sound guy, walked up to us and he was like, listen, your band's dope, but you sound like shit. And we all looked at him and we were like,
isn't that your fault?
Before we could even say, no, he didn't run sound that night.
Oh, got it.
And before we could even like, but we all kind of looked at him and we were like about to turn around and point, like, we all got pro gear, man. Like, he goes, I'm running sound from you from now on. And we all went almost in unison, we can't afford you. And he goes, I'm doing it for free. You're too good to sound that bad ever again. And that was the first time we had a real sound guy that literally showed up at every single show. We never played another show without that sound. It was amazing. It was so cool.
It was like, obviously that dude, but other like favorite sound guys.
Cody from The Rock.
Dude, Cody and Zeus were like a great team.
Zeus was technically lights, but I think Zeus.
He would have run like monitors.
I was just gonna say, I think Zeus also ran
He'd be on
actual
stage,
monitors. So yeah, monitors. I remember they were a team, but I just for some reason remember Cody was our sound guy and Zeus was our lighting guy. Yeah. But I think you're right. I think they would also switch off.
Yep.
And Zeus wasn't always there.
Mm-hmm. I remember plenty of times Cody doing it by himself.
Yep.
And he'd be like, hey man, you want to jump in the booth and like my phone's in there, just play some music or whatever between bands.
Yeah.
Like, all right.
Yeah.
And security would come over. What are you doing? I'm like,
Cody asked me to play some music.
Yeah.
There was also that dude with the long hair at Station 4. I forget his name. I want to say it was something like Tony. It probably wasn't Tony, but he had long black hair, wavy black hair, like Kirk Hammett style black hair. Sort of looked like Native American or maybe Asian or Latino or something. I don't know. Definitely wasn't like fucking an actual white guy. He was awesome. He was one of the best. He was one of the best in town, period. And then obviously Joe Spanbauer.
Yep.
I put all and Bill wasn't bad when Bill was actually doing shit. Bill wasn't a bad sound guy.
Joe Sweatpants Boner.
Yeah.
That's what we always
Sweatpants.
Sweatpants Boner.
Joe Sweatpants. Joseph the Sweatpants.
I remember like I don't think I ever booked a show with Joe, but he ran sound for a lot of them.
Tony, his name was Tony.
Was it?
Or Anthony. I think some people called him Tony, and that's why that name was in my head. But I think he went by Anthony by most people. Gotcha. And yeah, he's still the shit.
I only remember
this thing.
I think I only remember Dean from Station 4.
Dean was cool.
Yeah.
Dean was really cool. But I don't remember Dean ever actually running sound for me or any band I was in. I think he was there hanging out. I remember Dean. I remember liking Dean. I remember getting along with Dean. But Anthony was the sound guy. I remember just every time I played there, every time I played Station 4, I remember just
Did he look like Philip or there's this comedian.
He kind of looked like is it Tom Araya from Slayer? Like little bit.
Okay.
Like the long black wavy hair, metal dude. I just remember every time we would show up to play that show, as soon as I realized he was the running sound, it was like, don't piss him off, don't piss him off, don't piss him off, don't piss him off. All night was just don't piss him off, don't piss him off, don't piss him off. Like it drove me nuts. Like it would like fucking, I'd be in my own head about it because he was that good of a sound guy, and I just didn't want him. Because you know the power of a sound guy when you're an up and coming local band.
Oh yeah,
like they can ruin you if you piss them off. You're done. Like you don't. All of a sudden, you can't hear your own vocals. All of a sudden, you don't get the snare drum.
You're like,
anymore.
hey, can I get? And then you look at the sound booth, and he's like over at the bar with a drink.
Or, this never happened to me, but I have seen this happen where they go like this. The sound guy's standing back. He just flips you the bird.
I never got that.
I've never got it either, but I've seen it. I've seen it in person where it's usually the singer.
Yeah.
Asking
I think
or
we
saying
were
a little
like
too much.
Fairly respectful to everybody involved. I hope. Our drummer was kind of a fucking douchebag.
I did a really good job. I made one mistake once, and I was lucky that I didn't piss that person off. They knew I was young, but they said something to Joe, and Joe called me the next day, and he's like, "Don't ever do that again. Like you get a pass this time. Don't ever do that again." I'm not even gonna say what it was. Yeah. That's how embarrassing it was because I'd been doing shit for a while. I definitely wasn't anything even close to a professional, but I was still a total amateur. But I had been doing it for like a year.
Yeah, I had sound guys get irritated because I would move their mic. Like I had a spot on the cone of my speaker I like the mic in front of, and they would just like throw it in the middle. I'm like, man, it's like middle third of the cone.
Really?
Sounds good.
Really?
Well, I put like a little piece of tape there.
Yeah.
Like when we recorded, it's like that's where we put the mic, so I'm just gonna tape it. That's where it goes when we play live.
I know there's something to that. I'm not even gonna pretend I know enough.
I don't know why, but obviously, like it sounds better in a spot. It's just like when I talk, it sounds better.
Yeah.
Whatever side it's on.
Yeah, I don't know enough about guitar placement where on the cone it should be. I know my mic needs to be in a certain spot. I know I don't want like my mic over here, but like I don't know. I'm not experienced enough to know where on the cone and all that kind of cool shit. I know that's a thing, but I also know there's a difference, and I have an appreciation for the difference between recording and live sound too. Yep. So like if it's Joe or one of the sound guys we've been talking about, I'm just letting them put the mic where they want it.
Sure.
But yeah, I could see like if you get into that, fucking like, no, dude, I like the mic over here, and sound guys, fuck you. I want to know who's right in that scenario. Like, do you know? Is it an amateur sound guy, or does he know and you're the amateur because you're trying to put it in a recording position? Somebody like Mike Byrne might actually be able to answer that. He's enough of a gear nerd.
I probably put the piece of tape where Mike Byrne placed a mic, to be completely honest.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Because he recorded you.
He was like my tone guy.
Yeah. No. And I wonder if he set that up, like this is where we're going to record, and then you just took that and ran with it?
Well, I don't know. I think it's like you put it in the center, and then you move it around, and you're like, you record a bunch of riffs while you're moving it. And it's like, oh, that's the sweet spot.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Just remember where that is.
That makes sense. I just wonder if that
might
same
be
sweet
that
spot
mic,
transfers.
that room.
Exactly. And that's what I'm getting at. I'm not an engineer.
Right.
So that's what I'm asking. It's like I'm wondering if that's the sweet spot for that room, for that gear, for recording. I wonder if it's different live. I don't know.
It is.
I don't know,
because I always thought my amp sounded different on stage than recorded.
That's probably definitely the room for sure. If you guys got any more questions, let's throw these in here now. We're gonna wrap this up.
Yeah, you got like 3 minutes. I'm old balls and got to get up at 3:30.
Yeah, we're coming on 4 hours here, so we're gonna wrap this up in like literally less than 5 minutes. So.
Oh, by the way, Cobra Kai.
That's dope. You got the Cobra Crew shirt from Reaping yet?
I don't.
You got to get that. I think they still have a couple left. These local bands need to start handing out discount codes.
So we were talking about like when I was playing bass in like Jamal's old band when I like took his spot.
Mm-hmm.
Well, between playing the Red Sea and the Quest for Mayhem, me and my buddy Keebs went to CD Warehouse in Maplewood. This is 2000. And we're looking around in the store doing whatever. And the guy at the store is like, oh, are you guys looking for blah, blah, blah. Getting this conversation with him. Somehow it got brought up that I was in a band and I was playing Quest for Mayhem. He's like, oh, yeah, I'm in a band too. We're playing at 7th Street Entry in a couple weeks. Like, oh, cool. He's like, oh, man, I think I'm going to come out with Quest. It's fucking Dan Copy.
No shit.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Like, it must have been like November of 2000. The first guy I ever met in the scene was
that is
Dan
so
Copy.
fucking wild.
He came to the Quest for Mayhem and saw me play bass as a 16-year-old in this band. And then me and my buddy Keebs went and saw Section Hate at 7th Street Entry with Dead Hands Rising before Dan was in Dead Hands.
Crazy.
Yeah.
What a fucking crazy small ass world, dude.
Super
weird
weird
how we're all connected like that, dude.
Yep.
It's one of the most wild things. All right. Thank you guys for watching. Do you want people to follow you on Instagram?
That's about the only thing I really check.
I
I don't post a whole lot, but summer's coming, so
and
maybe.
you can follow him at Sanders P Derps.
Like Sand Derps, probably.
Oh, is that how you put it up?
Dude, I don't know.
It's
I'm
like
not
I thought
good
it
at
was
social
Sanders
media.
P Derps, but you might be right.
Could
It
be.
might be Derps. Yeah, I fucking go to my Instagram.
Yeah,
I tagged him. He's on my Instagram.
I'm
I
not
tagged
good
him
at
in the
things.
posts. Thank you guys. Please hit like, subscribe, share. We're still growing. I appreciate all the love. And yeah, we're gonna see you on Thursday with Greg Erickson, the original drummer from After the Burial.
Yeah, nice,
So-
dude. I love Greg. Greg was when I was talking about when we kicked out our drummer and then we had J Ram.
Yeah,
Greg was one of the guys in between.
there you go.
Yeah, I fucking love Greg.
Sweet human being, one of the
Dude.
nicest dudes on the planet. I always
Yeah.
loved the guy.
Speaking, so like, it's
keep
so
going.
weird.
Go ahead.
So like,
go ahead.
Dan Copy, Section Hate.
Yeah,
Nate was a singer.
yeah,
Greg Erickson was in a band with
yeah,
Nate.
yeah,
They had a song called "Tuesday is Garbage Day."
yeah. And we all,
What the fuck was that band's name?
Oh, I don't remember.
Somebody. Jesse played guitar.
I don't know. And
Greg
we
on
all dated
drums.
everyone else's sister.
Right.
Like,
right.
It's such an incestual scene. Like,
What was that band's name?
like at one of these points, at some day, it's gonna be like, oh yeah, and then like I married your ex-girlfriend,
Right,
and like
right.
you're raising my son. It's like, what the fuck is
And
going
Jamal
on? in
is
Minneapolis?
racist.
Yeah. And Greg Chilton's everyone's godfather. All right, guys, thank you very much.
Sub-level.
Like, subscribe, share. Like, subscribe, share. You know the drill. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. Follow him. Go to my fucking Instagram. I'm sorry, you guys. But yeah, appreciate it. Much love. We're out.